Chapter 159. Ding dong. An email was sent to their inboxes at the same time. The moment Luo Qingshun opened the email, her eyes lit up and her lips curled into a smile. To all the employees of V Group, in order for the game Heavenly Sword to develop better, we will be holding a game exchange meeting at 2 p.m. today. The development department will provide internal accounts and a dedicated internal server for the competition. The champion will receive 5,000 renminbi, the runner-up 3,000 renminbi, and the runner-up 1,000 renminbi. The registration deadline is 12 p.m. today. We hope that everyone will actively participate. Haha. Bai Yin looked at the email he received at the same time on his phone and couldn't help but laugh excitedly. This was a competition that was tailor-made for him. Even if he didn't talk about his own operating skills in the entire server, at least in the V Group, his operating skills were definitely top-notch. The champion's prize money was just like something in the bag. It was too easy. Maybe it was because he laughed too loudly that he attracted the attention of many people. Qingshun, do you have anything to do in the afternoon? This kind of scene where he could show off his power naturally had to be seen by his goddess. The prize money and his goddess would all belong to him. It was as if the heavens were helping him. You want me to watch your competition? Luo Qingshun nodded slightly with a faint smile on her lips. Luo Qingshun looked at his expression that looked like he had picked up 5 million renminbi. She was trying her best to hold back her laughter and pretend to be calm. Qingshun, you're so smart. Bai Yin smiled confidently and said, if you watch my competition, maybe you'll see a different version of me. She couldn't help but smile in her heart. After all, she had seen the different version of him that Bai Yin was talking about countless times. As the original artist for the new character, I also want to sign up and take a look. Luo Qingshun's fingertips moved slightly and pressed the sign-up button at the bottom of the email. When this sentence came out, Bai Yin was stunned. He never thought that Luo Qingshun would want to participate in this kind of gaming activity. Shouldn't goddesses like to go shopping, watch movies, and buy clothes? Okay. Bai Yin nodded with a smile and said, when the time comes and whoever bullies you, I'll help you torture them to death. Baby doesn't need a handicapped person like you, okay? However, she naturally kept these words in her heart. On the surface, she still looked at Bai Yin with a smile and said, let's wait and see. Less than an hour after Bai Yin left, Yinggu rushed to the design department to find Luo Qingshun to settle accounts. At the same time, Mu Qianlu saw Yi Yingji's figure in the hallway and walked towards the design department. Luo Qingshun, right? You mother of asterisk cur. Before she could finish her sentence, she froze on the spot. The reason was because she saw Mu Qianlu standing behind Luo Qingshun, looking right at her. Luo Qingshun didn't know at this moment. She turned in the direction of Yi Yingji's voice and saw Mu Qianlu standing behind her. She felt her heart skip a beat. As she took a deep breath, she could smell the faint scent on his body. Mu. President Mu. Yi Yingji's face was filled with awkwardness. After all, everyone in the design department was looking at her with knit brows. Mu Qianlu's hands were in his suit pockets as he stood in front of Luo Qingshun. His beautiful eyes were slightly narrowed and sparkling, as his body was covered in a cold aura that kept people away. That Bai Yin dirted my clothes first. That surnamed Luo, my clothes. Her words couldn't form a complete sentence, and she couldn't explain the situation at all. She stood there alone, just like a clown. Mu Qianlu's eyes narrowed dangerously, as if he was blowing the horn of death. He softly said, you don't need to come tomorrow. Chapter 160. Mu. Director Mu. Yi Yinggu wanted to say something, but she was already sent out by Mu Qianlu's beautiful assistant. After Yi Yinggu left, the design team leader quickly came forward and politely said with a smile, Director Mu, are you here today to see the original art for our new character? No, I'm here to see someone. The corners of his lips curled up into an elegant smile. He walked towards the door, leaving behind a confident and straight-back view. Luo Qingshun looked at this back for a while before her lips curled into a sweet smile. Did we do something wrong? Xiao Chen on the side looked a bit nervous. This was her first time seeing Mu Qianlu come to the design department, and it was hard to see him normally. The design team leader also had a doubtful look, and her face was a bit pale. She anxiously looked at everyone and said, "Our manager is on a business trip right now, and the design department is under the big boss management. Everyone should be a bit smarter no matter what you do. Otherwise, today's Yi Ingu will be tomorrow's you." Without knowing why, when she heard the deep words of the team leader, she felt it was very special. Funny, because she knew that Mu Qian Lu fired Yi Ingu for her, right? She was just that confident. At noon, she and Xiao Chun ate a few sandwiches before heading to the leisure area for the competition. It had to be said, the V Group's employees' leisure area was quite good. The internet leisure room had everything. There was a computer, a sofa, and drinks. It was no different from a high-class internet cafe. As expected, the people who entered this company didn't want to leave. The competition started at 2, and it's said that there were over 100 people participating this time. They would draw lots to decide their opponents. Luo Qingshun drew Huiyin from the sound department. She didn't know who he was, but she wasn't afraid at all. Qingshun, a familiar voice that she didn't want to hear, came from not far away. She slightly knit her brows and unwillingly turned around. She nodded with an awkward smile. But Bai Yin in front of her didn't feel this at all. Rather, he began to talk with excitement. Although you are the original artist for this game really isn't that simple. It's very important whether it's the technique or the combination of skills. Bai Yin's expression was as if he was a godlike figure. If she didn't know the capabilities of the person in front of her, she would have been deceived by him. So, she raised an eyebrow and smiled. She didn't seem to care at all. Bai Yannian was stunned. He was completely unable to react to Luo Qingshun's nonchalant words. In his heart, Luo Qingshun shouldn't have said, "I just thought it was fun to try it out, that's all." Or, "It's fine as long as you guys play well. I'm just here to join in the fun." Or, "I'm actually here to watch your performance. That's all." But no matter what the answer was, it shouldn't have been such a frivolous and confident. So, after a while, he smiled awkwardly and said, "I will protect you. Don't panic." "Thank you, but I really don't need it." After saying that, Luo Qingshun walked towards the stage without looking back. All that was left was a faint and disdainful smile and a cold and elegant back view. Bai Yin's heart was filled with anger. He could only grit his teeth and think, "I'll let you see how handsome I am later." She sat below the stage and was basically surrounded by guys. On the stage, there were 2-on-1 duels. This kind of duel was definitely not like a team battle. There were no healers, so the battles were faster. Chapter 161. The competition continued, and no one knew what job the other side would use to PK. This was because all the accounts and jobs, including the runes and divinities, were all in the Heavenly Sword account. This made the competition seem even more fair and professional. Bai Yin went on stage earlier than Luo Qingshun and took care of his opponent in around 2 minutes. Compared to the other employees, this was already considered very fast. Yin is so strong. Xiao Chun on the side looked at Bai Yin with a face of infatuation. Her entire person was in a state of infatuation. Hearing Xiao Chun say this, Luo Qingshun felt like there were 3 crows flying over her head. She only saw her lips curl into a helpless smile as she said, "You haven't played this game before. What are you signing up for? You don't understand this." Xiao Chun revealed a bright smile. She crossed her hands as she looked at Bai Yin on stage. She said with a smile of an infatuated girl, "I want to experience the feeling of being oppressed by a great god." "Great god?" Luo Qingshun helplessly shook her head. She crossed her hands in front of her chest and shed a tear for Xiao Chun's ignorant life. Not everyone in this world could be called a great god, all right? If Bai Yin's skill level was called a great god, then wouldn't Mu Qian Lu be a god among gods? After Bai Yin finished his match, the next person to go on stage was Luo Qingshun. When they passed each other, Bai Yin revealed a confident smile. He looked at Luo Qingshun and said, "If he dares to oppress you, Big Brother will help you oppress him." Luo Qingshun revealed a faint smile and didn't reply. She just sat down and quickly adjusted her divinity and skill shortcuts. After a minute, both sides chose their lineups. The opponent Hua Yin chose a long-range physical damage job, which was called Flame Sky in Heavenly Sword. This job was similar to Demonic Year Young Master's Void Jade. He also used large skills to deal damage and small skills to deal control damage. Luo Qingshun didn't even think as she chose Li Guang. After all, this was a job that was close to being invincible in duels. The main reason was that she didn't know any other jobs. It was all the system's fault. When she exchanged for Li Guang's skills, it didn't give her anything else. The system spread out its non-existent hands. How could this be blamed on it? As soon as the battle started, she used Soul Ban to trap her opponent on the spot. Then, she used 3 soul orbs to deal a critical hit and took away almost 2/3 of Huiyan's HP. Huiyan was stunned for 2 seconds. He wanted to release the control, but he didn't expect that Luo Qingshun's fingertips would move so fast that it seemed to defy the natural order. In less than half a second, after a void flow, I followed up with a soul guiding death and took away his opponent's entire set. The whole process took less than 30 seconds. Luo Qingshun used an inconceivably fast speed to easily end the match. All he needed to do was to record his faint smile and the dumbfounded faces of the audience. F***CK. Heavens, this is too much. What happened? So fast. That Yin Tian didn't even use a single skill? Who is this person? She's so pretty and her skills are top-notch. The audience kept talking and Luo Qingshun's heart couldn't help blooming a little flower. When she sat back down, Xiao Chun beside her looked at her with a look of disbelief. She couldn't help swallowing her saliva as she said, Qing, I didn't know that you were this good at games. Remember, only this is worthy of being called a great god. Although it was a bit narcissistic, Luo Qingshun felt that Xiao Chun could put the label of great god on by Yin Yin. It was understandable that she was a bit narcissistic. Chapter 162. On the other side, Bai Yin Yin, who had just walked up from below the stage and had yet to sit down, was stunned on the spot. What had just happened in that instant? Why did he feel a sense of déjà vu? Also, his goddess had finished off her opponent faster than him. He felt a little embarrassed. However, due to his confidence in his looks and techniques, Bai Yin Yin pulled on his blue and white tie. His entire body was filled with energy, waiting for the battle to begin. After an hour, there were less than 20 people left on the stage. Luo Qingshun had always been quick and decisive in every battle, ending the match very quickly. However, Bai Yin Yin was different. First of all, the Void Jade class was most afraid of tanks that were hard to control, similar to the Templar class. The more he fought, the more the audience could see Bai Yin Yin's techniques and routines. If he wanted to win in a short period of time, it would become even more difficult. Until, when he only had 100 HP left, the heavens blessed him with a star sword and killed the opponent's Templar. And his next opponent was the female goddess Luo Qingshun that he spoke of. Qingshun, you play Li Guang quite well. Bai Yin Yin, who was sitting opposite her, didn't forget to praise her before the match began. I know, Luo Qingshun coldly replied, not giving the other party any face. Hurry up and call me brother. I'll let you win. Bai Yin Yin's words were, on one hand, to show off his masculine charm, on the other hand, to give himself a way out. It wasn't that he didn't see Luo Qingshun's techniques just now. She was simply a god-level character. Moreover, in terms of PK, the Li Guang class in this game was almost invincible because she could both deal damage and heal herself. Don't. Luo Qingshun's lips curled up into a faint smile. Her watery eyes looked up at him and said, You'd better fight to the death. If you win, it's on me. It had to be said that Luo Qingshun's words made Bai Yin Yin feel nervous. He really couldn't lose. Or maybe she was saying that he couldn't afford to lose. If he were to lose, how would he face his goddess? Luo Qingshun yawned and saw a familiar figure from the corner of her eyes. She could tell who it was in that instant. Could it be that this god was worried that she would lose to Bai Yin Yin and had specially come to cheer her on? No, the great god shouldn't know that demonic year young master is Bai Yin Yin. In the next second, Luo Qingshun felt her heart skip a beat. Was the Almighty here to participate in the competition? Oh my god, The great god was robbing the working people of their livelihood. Before she could finish grumbling in her heart, Bayanian teleported in front of her, intending to use a set of small skills on her. She jumped back and instantly pulled the distance between them. Then, she used a control skill to firmly imprison him in place. Although Bayanian's skills were rough, he wasn't a newbie who had never played games before. He still steadily used Dispel, and then used Starfall to control Luo Qingshun, followed by Heavenly Fire Mysterious Icefall. Luo Qingshun thought that this person was too impatient. She calmly teleported away and placed a soul mirror beside him. She directly followed up with a soul bead and released a chain of 3 critical hits. Seeing that Bayanian only had a sliver of HP left, Luo Qingshun didn't chase after him. Rather, she used a invincible nirvana on the spot, letting her body that was already full of HP be covered in a layer of golden light. Chapter 163. Luo Qingshun had completely defeated by Yin Yin in less than a minute. The entire arena was filled with excitement. Even Xiao Chun, who was looking at Bai Yin Yin with infatuated eyes, turned to look at Luo Qingshun. After Bai Yin Yin came down from the stage, his brothers all came forward to tease him. I never thought that an internet-addicted youth like you would lose to a little girl. Moreover, this is the girl you want to chase. Big brother, you won't be able to keep your face this time. Go, 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 let's go drink. Let's get drunk and forget all this unpleasantness. But how could Bai Yin Yin be in the mood to drink at this moment? He really felt that he had lost all his face and wanted to find a hole to hide in. The player who ranked second in the battle strength ranking of like summer flowers actually lost so casually to an unknown girl in the company. He couldn't accept this. All of you scram for me, Bai Yin Yin roared out, scaring the surrounding people. As soon as his voice fell, he walked over to Luo Qingshun with a heart filled with rage. He looked at her and said, "Can we have another match?" Umph. Luo Qingshun slightly raised her brows with a relaxed look on her face. Qingshun, you also know that the Li Guang job is invincible in duels. Bai Yin Yin's face was filled with dissatisfaction, but his tone was still very good. After all, the person in front of him was a goddess. He could only smile and say, "You don't want to use the Li Guang job. How about we have a match?" Damn, this Bai Yin Yin wanted to cause trouble. System calling the system. If you want to exchange for job skills, the corresponding exchange points will be deducted. System, you wouldn't be raising the price, right? The system isn't this kind of system. Luo Qingshun thought about it. How could she completely defeat Bai Yin Yin? After a second, she had an answer. As long as she completely defeated him with the same job, it would be considered a complete defeat. Is the host certain that you want to exchange for the Void Jade job skills? Yes/no. Yes. Very certain. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for the Void Jade job skills. Limited to this world. Sure. Her lips curled up slightly and her eyes were filled with confidence. She looked at him and said, "Let's wait for them to finish fighting." After all, the other players were still fighting. He didn't want to affect them. But what she didn't expect was that in the next second, a magnetic voice entered her ears. It was different from the voice that was as cool as water, but it was deep and elegant. It was really nice to listen to. Just turn on 2 more computers. Mu Qianlu walked over from not far away with a faint smile on his lips. His deep eyes sparkled as he looked through her layers of defenses, seeing through her eyes. Luo Qingshun felt her heart skip a beat. She unconsciously became nervous. Director Mu, everyone instantly stood up when they saw Mu Qianlu with smiles on their faces. Actually, this included Bai Yin Yin, who wanted to fight to the death with Luo Qingshun. Mu Qianlu nodded as he spoke with a faint gaze. The computers for the competition area on the right have been set up. This way, please. The beautiful assistant beside Mu Qianlu came forward with her signature smile as she spoke to the 2 of them. The current Bai Yin Yin was filled with confidence. He walked in front of Luo Qingshun and arrived at the competition area before her. If it was said that he was playing around before to show off in front of the goddess, then in front of Mu Qianlu, this was the best chance to show off. Chapter 164. Luo Qingshun looked at Mu Qianlu, who was casually standing to the side, and felt a bit nervous. Her palms were no longer covered in sweat. Although with the system in her hands, she had this view in the world, and she wasn't afraid. But this was the first time her male god was watching her play in real life. Moreover, she had just exchanged for the Void Jade skill, so it was normal for her to be nervous. She saw Bai Yin confidently sitting in front of the computer like he had been injected with chicken blood as he used his skill points. Luo Qingshun looked at the Void Jade character panel, and her lips curled. She switched from the fire type that she usually used in duels to the ice type. The Void Jade was a very flexible job. Compared to the Li Guang, the Void Jade should be more popular. This was because it was a job that had 3 different types, which were the fire type, ice type, and thunder type. Fire type was a duel. Ice type was a support type. Thunder type was a dungeon type. Most of the people who played the Void Jade in this game were of the fire type. They thought that the fire type could deal high damage, but that wasn't the case. After all, the fire type Void Jade mainly dealt damage and had very little control, so it was very easy for the enemy to kill it. But the ice type was different. The reason why this type could be called a support type was because the skills of this type all had control. It had to be said, in the previous host's impression of the server's number 1 Void Jade should be the ice type Void Jade. That control and critical hit was very exciting. Then why couldn't she do the same? After 30 seconds, both sides adjusted their shortcuts and entered the game. Bai Yin took the lead and flashed behind Luo Qingshun. He saw her use a small ice seal skill to freeze him in midair. Because she had a critical hit divinity and rune, although it was a small skill, it still hurt when it froze people. Actually, this kind of Void Jade wasn't without its drawbacks. The biggest drawback was that as long as you were hit by the enemy's instant kill skill, you might die before you could even kill the enemy. So, this was a very skillful type, and normal people couldn't play it. Because there were too many skills to dodge, if one wasn't careful, they would lose all the advantages they had accumulated. He might even lose the entire game. However, Luo Qingshun didn't seem to give Bai Yannian such a chance. Her near-perfect maneuvering dodged all of Bai Yannian's skills. However, it had to be said that Jade Void was different from Li Guang. Li Guang could switch to light to heal himself. He always felt that there was a way out. Jade Void was different. As the most fragile DPS class, it would be difficult for her to survive if she was hit with a full attack. Not to mention the Ice Element Jade Virtual Realm, which didn't have any major outbursts. However, at this moment, Luo Qingshun's smooth operation blinded everyone's eyes. She was practically circling Bai Yannian as she attacked. One control skill after another, not giving Bai Yannian the slightest chance to breathe, until the last small skill would hit him and take him away. At this very moment, Luo Qingshun's Ice Element, Hollow Jade, didn't lose a single drop of blood. This was the legendary complete slaughter of a player of the same class. Ah, wow. Almost at the same time, all of the employees present shouted at the same time. This was a shout from the bottom of their hearts. This was a kind of respect for the strong. At this moment, Bai Yannian's eyes were still filled with dissatisfaction. However, he knew that whether it was in terms of maneuvering, technique, or skill linking, he and Luo Qingshun weren't on the same level. Chapter 165. At the same time, Luo Qingshun could feel 2 different gazes, one from Bai Yannian and the other from Mu Qianlu. There is no need to mention Bai Yannian. This kind of gaze was filled with unwillingness and helplessness. But Mu Qianlu was different. His deep, dark eyes were filled with curiosity, and there was a bit of pampering in his ink-black eyes. Without knowing why, his heart that was as calm as water in the past would be filled with waves the moment he looked into her eyes. It was always said that a girl was the most moving when she was serious, and his contract seemed to be the same. Seeing her sitting in front of the computer with her fingers flying over the keyboard, her large eyes were completely focused on the screen. Occasionally, she would knit her brows, but it didn't affect her performance at all. In the end, she only left the other side with a faint smile. This kind of feeling was really good. This kind of contract was really not bad. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate, is now 60%. Luo Qingxun was stunned. When the system's voice sounded in her mind, she looked right into Mu Qianlu's eyes not far away. His brows slightly moved, and he narrowed his eyes as he stood in the crowd. The unique aura around him was very dazzling. Luo Qingxun couldn't help feeling that this kind of great god was suddenly standing in front of her. It was a bit distant and realistic. Although Bai Yin behind her was very unwilling, he could see the difference between him and Luo Qingxun. Since he had lost the competition, he couldn't lose his demeanor. "Qingxun, you're very powerful." He walked over in a bit of embarrassment. Standing in front of her, he was filled with a sense of defeat. "I know." She nodded, not denying it. "You should have played this game before, right?" Bai Yin's eyes lit up as he looked at her with a smile and said, "Which area? We can play together." Luo Qingxun thought. Yo. Now you want to play with this treasure. Why didn't you play with this treasure on the battlefield? Why didn't you play with this treasure when you bullied this treasure in the territory war? Why didn't you play with this treasure in the world chat? This treasure also knows how to get angry and have small emotions. There's no need. Her eyes slightly lit up. Seeing Bai Yin's slightly stunned expression, her lips curled as she said, "After all, we are enemies and not friends." With that, she gracefully turned around and walked in another direction. Bai Yan was left behind with a face full of confusion. An enemy, not a friend. What does that mean? Could it be that Luo Qingxun is also in like summer flowers? On the other side, Luo Qingxun had attracted countless onlookers before she even sat down. "Sister, you were so awesome just now. It's a pity that you don't play League of Legends. If not, we can also play King of Glory. Our team just so happens to be lacking in DPS player." Sister. Luo Qingxun just nodded with a smile, not saying anything else. After all, the competition was still going on. She easily won the rest of the matches, until she dismissed all the employees and thought that she could go on stage to receive her bonus. The host spoke. "Congratulations to Comrade Luo Qingxun from our original art department for entering the finals." What? Finals? Shouldn't he be congratulating her for winning the championship? Ahem, the host cleared his throat and said, "In order to make our competition more interesting, our V Group's President Mu will also participate this time." In the next second, the crowd was in a heated discussion. President Mu also knows how to play Heavenly Sword. He's just here to join in the fun. Ah, I can finally see President Mu. Why are you so love-struck? You guys don't know, but President Mu used to be the most handsome guy in C University. He was my senior. Luo Qingxun couldn't help but feel that her focus was not on the same dimension as the spectators. Chapter 166. There's no harm in trying. Mu Qianlu saw her stunned face and spoke in a gentle voice. He just wanted to see just how powerful his contract was. Of course, if he was completely abused by her, he would still enjoy being abused. All right, Director Mu. Luo Qingxun could clearly feel her lips twitching when she smiled. It was like she was playing Monopoly, and she was only a step away from the finish line. Then a bomb card came out of nowhere and sent her flying, moving back a few steps. She really was drunk. She saw Mu Qianlu walk onto the stage in front of everyone. She looked up at him, and it was like she could see a trace of pampering in his smiling eyes. She took a deep breath and walked onto the stage to sit down. She drank 2 mouthfuls of the matcha milkshake that Xiao Chun had bought for her. She sat up and adjusted her state. During this time, she didn't forget to talk to her system. System, do you think I can win against Mu Qianlu? 50-50. The system coldly replied. You mean that your skill explanation isn't strong enough? I want a refund. The skill explanation exchange itself came from the copy of the strongest player in the Heavenly Sword server. The system guaranteed that it wasn't talking nonsense with a straight face. Can't you be a little more straightforward? This means that if the host wants to exchange for the light blade skill, it will be the copy of Mu Qianlu's character. Your skills will be the same as a mirror. Damn, system, you're praising the male lead? No, you're praising the passerby as the server's #1 light blade skill. This is the truth. Luo Qingxun gave a shrug and didn't respond to the system. After all, she also thought this. Mu Qianlu chose the light blade skill, as expected. In order to increase her chances of winning, she changed her Li Guang's defense break to critical hit. It was mainly to prevent herself from being left with low HP. When she switched to the light blade skill, she could instantly heal herself with critical hits. The moment the match began, Mu Qianlu's lips slightly curled. He didn't show any mercy as he sent out a setting wind wave, controlling her in place. He instantly sent out a wild kill to take a third of her HP. She guaranteed that if the other side wasn't Mu Qianlu, she would have been able to dodge this wild kill. After all, even if it was Mu Qianlu, she had lost her HP while she was in the air. After that, she wasn't willing to back down. A soul ban, followed by a soul bead, to take a third of the other side's HP. Mu Qianlu smiled as his eyes smiled as well. He was the same. When he pressed the release button, his mouth was hit by Luo Qingchen's soul bead. Wow, there was cheers. Tisk TSK, TSK. President Mu is so good at games. This is what a fight between immortals looks like. After 3 minutes, Mu Qianlu found a chance to control her and instantly followed up with a fierce light kill. Luo Qingchen's heart skipped a beat. She instantly used the only CC removal skill, Light Wall. She then used Invincible Nirvana to heal herself to full HP. But she knew that although she was full HP, she was at a disadvantage because all her skills were on cooldown. Instantly, Mu Qianlu rushed forward and knocked her to the ground with full HP before quickly using the big move, 1,000 flashy scatter blades. 7 hits. If she didn't release the CC, she would die without a doubt. But when Mu Qianlu hit all 5 hits and Luo Qingchen only had a sliver of HP left, he stopped. She saw that he had 2 large swords on his back and was covered in a golden blood-red glow as he used a blood battle art in front of her, leaving him with a bit of HP. Instantly, Luo Qingchen felt her head buzz and her heart trembled. In that moment, he was standing in front of her like a demon from the heavens. He really was a god in the human world. He was so handsome that he seemed to be glowing. Chapter 167. Many years later, when she thought of this competition, her lips would still curl into a smile. After all, she felt that she had been teased. But after this competition, it wasn't like she didn't receive anything other than the $5,000. She had also received the Heavenly Sword, Great God title, and the gazes of many fangirls. She was also helpless, all right? As for Demonic Year Young Master, he had been quite active in the game recently. For example, tonight. Horn Demonic Year Young Master. M for the Dragon Spring Water and the Emperor's Ink. World, listen to the wind blowing. Young Master has been collecting things recently. Do you want to increase your battle strength? World, only love Young Master. I want a Chinese Valentine's Day themed dress. M for the Young Master. Oh, intersection. Oh, world, Candy Consort. Only love Young Master. Can you not be this shameless? A dress that costs $1,000. You're not embarrassed to ask someone else to pay? World, only love Young Master. Are you jealous? World, Rain God. Candy Consort. Ignore her. Biaozi with Go forever. World, Dear West Sound. Hee. Horn Demonic Year Young Master. West Sound, you're back to play? Bai Yin Yin on the other side of the computer was a bit excited. After all, Dear West Sound was his contract from before. He always liked her. She was gentle, cute, and was a student, as well as looking quite good. Then because she went out of town for a few months, she didn't play games and cut off contact with him. Now that she was back, he didn't know why Demonic Year Young Master's heart was still throbbing. To be honest, since he had a contract with Only Love Young Master, he had spent quite a bit of money. What new clothes, materials for instance, and etc. As long as she asked, he would agree to everything. However, recently, he felt that this woman had become a little worse. The clothes she asked for were all limited edition, and the price was heaven-defying. The most important thing was that he felt that when she talked to him, she must have used a cute girl voice changer. Moreover, she never gave him her phone number and never agreed to meet him. What was the point of this contract? Perhaps the photos were all fake. World, Dear West Sound. You still care if I'm back or not. World, only love young master. Who are you? Ying's eyes narrowed. She wasn't a fool. Naturally, she knew the relationship between this Dear West Sound and demonic year young master. But why did this woman suddenly come back? PM, demonic year young master. Shunga, you there? Private chat. Only love Gongzi. In Gongzi, what do you say? I heard that you were invited to the anniversary celebration. Do you need a female companion? The nouveau riche that she had managed to hook up with after much difficulty was definitely not going to be snatched away. He had to make him waver before demonic year young master said the word contract break. As expected, by Yannian, who was on the other side of the computer, was moved. No matter what, this woman called Shungu was considered the #1 beauty in like summer flowers. If she was willing to attend the anniversary celebration with him, perhaps Donghua, Chunjin, and Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud would be jealous. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, he changed his mind. PM, demonic year young master. Wifey, let's go together when the time comes. You're this beautiful, you can definitely suppress everyone. PM, only love Gongzi, humph. She used a small hammer to hit you, yet you still don't forget your old love. Aggrieved face, PM, demonic year young master. Io, darling, aren't you thinking too much? I love you the most. If you don't believe me, look at the horn next. After a few seconds, there was a sentence that demonic year young master said to Dear West Sound on the horn. Or demonic year young master. Naturally, I don't care. After all, I have a wife kiss. Chapter 168. World, little dodo, truly disgusting. World, different fireworks. You don't even need to eat dinner. World, rain god. I don't know why when other people show off their love, I feel it's very sweet. Demonic year young master showing off his love, I feel it's very disgusting. Horn, demonic year young master. Who cares about you? If you have the skills, come up here with the horn. Ding dong. Luo Qingshan was still leisurely watching the people in the world chat attack demonic year young master. But a clear message sound cut her off. Contract, Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud. I'll come pick you up for the anniversary celebration. You're also in S City? Contract, Eastern Painted Brocaded. No need, I can go myself. I still have to pick up life written in water. The great god was coming to pick her up. That would shorten her lifespan. Forget it. Contract, Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud. That's fine. It had to be said, Luo Qingshan didn't have much time to play games recently. After all, as the original artist for Heavenly Sword, it wasn't right for her to always take time off. Although she had taken time off many times. Most of the reasons were, Director Mu, I'm not feeling well today. Director Mu, my little sister has a fever today. Director Mu, my rabbit is sick today. Actually, the real reason was, going to the battlefield, going to the territory war, going to the country war. Until all the messy excuses had been used up, she had no choice but to obediently go back to work. But what she didn't know was that on a certain afternoon, the original department was having a meeting in the office. Yinggu had just returned to the company to pack up the things she left behind. She was very unwilling when she thought of how Luo Qingshan had caused her to lose her job. If she didn't teach her a lesson before leaving, her heart would be filled with panic. However, she only wanted to pour the drink on the original art she had just drawn, but she never thought that she would accidentally hit the mouse on the table and light up the desktop. She couldn't be more familiar with this page, Heavenly Sword. It wasn't anything since Luo Qingshan was the original artist for Heavenly Sword, so it was normal for her to be in the game. However, when she saw the ID, she froze on the spot. East. Painting. Dust. Jean. She was actually Donghua Chunjin. How could Donghua Chunjin be a woman? She felt disgusted when she thought about it. Back then, she had planned to ride on Donghua Chunjin's coattails. Who would have thought that Donghua Chunjin was a woman? It was a good thing she was smart enough to change her target to demonic year young master. Otherwise, she would have been filled with regret. After a long time, when she recovered from her shock, the door of the meeting room was slowly opened. She hurriedly left Luo Qingshan's position and slipped away in the direction of the back door. Yi Yingji's heart was filled with panic at this moment. Tomorrow was the Heavenly Sword anniversary meeting. Donghua Chenjin was the second-ranked player on the Summer Flowers ranking, so she would definitely be invited to the meeting. If demonic ear young master saw such a beauty at that time, wouldn't the fat duck in her hands fly away? No, absolutely not. Thinking of this, she silently made a decision in her heart. She must not let Luo Qingshun attend the press conference. Her eyes narrowed, and she gritted her teeth as she took out the phone in her bag to call her cousin, who was a street thug. Cousin, help me kidnap a person tomorrow morning. After you kidnap her, drive on the highway and run as far as possible in the direction of our home. When this matter is over, send her back. Chapter 169. Yi Yingji's plan went very smoothly. The next morning, Luo Qingshun was covered in a large sack as soon as she came out and was thrown into the back of the container truck. This was simply too much. Which little slut wanted to harm her? At the same time, the driver that Mu Qianlu went to pick up Luo Qingshun was following behind the container truck while explaining the situation to his boss. Although Luo Qingshun had clearly rejected him in the game and didn't need him to pick her up, but being a gentleman, he still obtained Luo Qingshun's address from Human Resources and had the driver pick her up, wanting to give her a pleasant surprise. He never thought that the moment the driver arrived, he would see her being dragged into the car and quickly driven off. Who kidnapped her? Mu Qianlu's eyes turned cold on the other side of the phone, like the haze in his eyes could freeze everything around him. Even the beautiful assistant beside him trembled in fear, like she had met a ghost in the middle of July. I'm not too clear on the specifics, but they seem like street thugs. The driver closely followed the container truck, not daring to relax at all. He didn't forget to report while looking forward. Boss, I'm going to the highway now. Follow. His brows twitched and his face turned dark. He quickly tapped on the computer and used unknown hacking skills to pull out all the surveillance footage near Luo Qingshun's home. As expected, it was like his driver said, the people who took his contract had come prepared. After that, his brows knit together. He followed the license plate and pulled out all the surveillance footage on the highway, finally seeing the car at the intersection of the Huaihai Highway. The recording was from 5 minutes ago, which meant that Luo Qingshun was already on the highway. This highway was an hour and a half long, so one couldn't stop or turn around on the highway. Just where did these people want to take her? License plate, MA 5807. Investigate who the owner is and all his friends and relatives. Yes, Director Mu. The beautiful assistant quickly turned on the laptop and began typing on the keyboard. After 3 minutes, she stood up and said, the owner is called Yi Wei. He has a cousin who left the V group a few days ago. Yi Yingge. Yes, President Mu. His gaze was as deep as a pool of ink, as if he was blowing the horn of death. His aura was incomparably powerful. The next second, he picked up the car keys of the Maserati Ghibli and walked downstairs. Ding-ling, just as he got up, his phone rang. Looking at the caller ID, it was Cold Moon Heavenly Light, whom they had just exchanged numbers with yesterday. Qinxue, you're not being nice. Didn't you say you'd send a beauty to pick me up? I've been waiting in the wind for so long that it's all messed up. Okay? Cold Moon Heaven Light complained into the phone. I want to pick up Qingshun. Something happened. Mu Qianlu slightly knit his brows as his heart suddenly filled with a bit of panic. This was the first time in his life that he had panicked. He was a little afraid that something would happen to her. Who? Qing what? Eastern Painting. Eastern Painting's name is so girly. It's similar to the lowly she molded. Cold Moon Heavenly Light laughed on the other side of the phone, not feeling the cold aura coming from Mu Qianlu at all. Let's talk later. After saying this, Mu Qianlu hung up without another word and walked out the door. The beautiful assistant quickly followed behind him and said, Director Mu, I'll take care of this matter. I'll definitely bring her back safely. Heavenly Sword. S anniversary celebration is about to begin. Chapter 170. Before Mu Qianlu even walked downstairs, he was surrounded by a group of reporters that came to attend the anniversary celebration. They all swarmed over with microphones, wanted to ask this young tycoon who was already worth over 100 million, or wanted to take a few more pictures of him. Director Mu, you should at least say a few words before leaving. The beautiful assistant lowered her head and said in a soft voice beside him, She was also a bit anxious. For Heavenly Sword, to reach this point, there were many people's hard work. The anniversary conference this time was also the most dazzling result for Heavenly Sword's players and income over the past year. To be honest, she had followed Director Mu for many years, but she had never seen him disregard the big picture like this, insisting on doing things his own way. In her eyes, her boss was calm, steady, courageous, and astute. No matter what he did, he would always follow Plan B. He had reached an inhuman level of strategizing. She admired this kind of Mu Qianlu, looking up at him from the bottom of her heart. But the current him really wasn't like Mu Qianlu. His eyes turned cold and his brows tightly knit. The anniversary celebration was about to begin and the banquet hall was on the left. As the chief executive of the V Group, he had the responsibility and obligation to go in and say a few words. But at this moment, he was worried about that person's safety, which surpassed everything else. He knew that the container truck was already on the highway, and he couldn't catch up even if he sped up, but he still wanted to go. He still wanted to go in her direction and chase after her. Got it. After a while, he narrowed his eyes. His voice was as cold as stagnant water as he walked into the banquet hall. The host of the banquet hall was already introducing the experts of each server, letting them come on stage one by one. At the same time, Bai Yin was standing at the entrance of the banquet hall, waiting for his female companion, the number one beauty of the server. Without knowing why, his heart was a bit excited. The ID card and the 5-star hotel room card in his right pocket made him even more excited. It didn't matter if he couldn't chase the goddess. He had a contract with the number one beauty of the server. It seemed like he had found back the face he had lost a few days ago. But he never thought that before he could get his contract, he would see someone that made him feel disgusted. It was the old woman who had seduced his father and was kicked out of the company by Director Mu. Ying Ge. Oh, who was I? Old sister, you still have the face to come to the company? Bai Yin wasn't far away from Ying Ge, who was wearing a long golden dress. He didn't know where this fellow's confidence came from. He was already so old, yet he still liked to dress up gorgeously. It was an eyesore. Scram. Ying Ge rolled her eyes and crossed her arms as she said, "A piece of trash like you, you're only worthy of standing outside as a guest." Hey, everything had been going wrong recently. The incident with Luo Qingshan had not yet faded from her mind, and now there was trouble. "I'm sorry, old sister, but I was invited here. I'm different from you. Who's here to sell your body for a higher position?" Bai Yin gave a light humph and looked at her with eyes full of disdain. In his eyes, this kind of old woman was not even fit to carry his shoes. Being in the same space would pollute the air. "You?" Yi Ingji's shoulders slightly twitched as she revealed a smile. "Just you? How could he be invited?" "Ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. You don't even think about how you're lying." Chapter 171. Yi Ingge narrowed her eyes. Seeing Bai Yin's angry expression and hearing his confident words, she actually believed him a bit. But if what he said was true, it wasn't a bad thing. Heavenly Sword. Other than playing the game, spending money was also something a great god had to do. If Bai Yin was invited to the High Battle Week, it meant that he had spent quite a bit of money on this game. Thinking about it, that old man and his family really did have quite a bit of money. He could squander it like this. So what? Yi Ingge deliberately raised her brows and pursed her lips as she said, "My contract is definitely stronger than yours. For a noob like you, he can beat you with a single hand." "Huh, huh, huh. I never thought. Old sister, you also play games?" Bai Yin finally understood why he saw Yi Ingge here. So she also played Heavenly Sword. After he gave a cold laugh, he continued, "I really don't know who is blind enough to have a soul contract with you. He must have blown up the Milky Way galaxy in his previous life." "You." Yi Ingji's face turned green from his words. She angrily stomped her feet and roared in a sharp voice, "It's still better than you. You don't even have a contract. Aren't you embarrassed?" "What a joke." "I don't have a contract." Bai Yin gave 2 laughs of disdain and said, "My contract is the number one beauty in the entire server. How can she compare to an old woman like you? This old lady is also the number one beauty in the entire server. How can I not compare?" Ying-gu patted her chest with a face filled with confidence. She was very confident in her appearance. Otherwise, there wouldn't be middle-aged people who liked her, young people who admired her, and the great gods of the game who liked her. This kind of charm, how could Luo Qingshun compare to her? Don't make me vomit. Bai Yin shook his head with a smile of disbelief and said, You're the #1 beauty in the entire server? Do you think you're ghost? There are many people. Did you give yourself that title? Hey, this old lady doesn't need to give myself that title. When this old lady's contracted young master comes, you could just wait to kneel down and lick his feet. After that, she walked into the banquet hall with her head held high in her 10-centimeter high heels. Bai Yannian furrowed his brows. His entire mind was still stuck on the words that the old woman had said a few seconds ago. Contract, young master? F***CK. Which shameless person would dare to call him young master? What disgrace. He snorted angrily, picked up the phone in his pocket, and called Shinga's number. After a while, a slightly coquettish female voice sounded. Hey, who are you? I'm Gongzi, you're Sheng. Bai Yin's brows furrowed slightly. This voice was very different from the one he heard on YY. But why did he still feel a sense of familiarity in such a different situation? Sob. Darling, I was bullied by a bastard just now. You have to help me vent my anger later. Ying-gu didn't recognize the other side's voice for a while and kept acting cute and pitiful. However, Bai Yannian could tell. At this moment, it was like his heart was being overturned by a sea of ice water, attacking his organs and making his breathing speed up. He only saw him walking towards the banquet hall. The hairs on his body were trembling, and even his fingertips couldn't stop trembling, until he saw Ying-gu sitting in a chair in the corner of the banquet hall with a phone in her hand. He was frozen in place. It was like the ceiling had been struck by lightning. It could explode at any moment. Chapter 172. Ying-gu sitting in the chair noticed Bai Yin's actions not far away. She felt that the sounds of vomiting seemed to be coming from her phone. Suddenly, a disgusting and unbelievable thought appeared in her mind. No, it's impossible. She told herself this. She tentatively stood up and walked in Bai Yin's direction. Before she even walked halfway, she heard Bai Yin roar out, Don't come over here for me. This time, Ying-gu was certain. She felt her mind explode and instantly turn blank. Young. How could demonic year young master be Bai Yin? How could such a thick thigh be this little brat in front of her? After a few seconds, she took a deep breath. She decided to completely ignore Bai Yin and walk towards the front row of the banquet hall. She had to be elegant. She definitely couldn't fall down because of Bai Yin and mess up her mind. After all, the people who came to the anniversary celebration today were all high-level representatives from various servers. They were all rich and powerful. She felt that with her beauty as a flower, she would definitely have a chance. Sitting in her seat, her lips couldn't help curling into a sinister smile. She suddenly felt that Bai Yin was a fool. Everyone in the company knew that he liked Luo Qingshun, but he didn't know that Luo Qingshun's in-game ID was Donghua Qingjin. He even helped her scold her. Thinking about it now, it really was satisfying. But this truth would never be revealed. After all, at this moment, the so-called Donghua Qingjin was currently running on the highway. At the same time, Luo Qingshun on the other side spent an entire half an hour to untie her tied hands and feet. This group of idiots tying a bow on her, don't they know that it can be untied with a pull? If it wasn't for the fact that her hands and feet weren't nimble, she would have untied it, all right? She had no choice but to scold her system at this time. In this kind of dangerous situation, the system actually didn't say a word and pretended to be dead. System, come out for me. Tell me, why didn't you save me from this danger? The host hasn't suffered any injuries. There's no problem. No broken arms, no broken legs. There isn't even a scratch. Which idiot kidnapped me? His methods are so rough and childish. Reporting to the host. The kidnapper is Ying-ji's big brother Yue. F***CK. Trash. Where am I now? Running in the middle of the highway. Pooh. This Ying-ji's methods really were rough. However, I was more concerned about why she kidnapped me. Don't tell me it's just to get back at me for causing her to lose her job. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is that she accidentally saw your computer screen and knew that you were dong watching Jean. Damn, not only is this old woman despicable and shameless, she even peeped at me. Does she really think that I'm a naive girl who doesn't know anything about the world? Maybe, with the system in hand, the world is mine, okay? System, did you forget to remind me of something? In the host's portable space, there is a gift from the previous dimension, teleportation canvas shoes. Oh, you have a conscience now. I want to take out the teleportation canvas shoes. Ding, successfully took out the teleportation canvas shoes from the spatial storage. She didn't know why, but at this moment, she felt a little excited. Chapter 173. Good. Next, let us warmly welcome our V Group's CEO, Mu Qianlu, Director Mu. After the host's impassioned voice ended, there was a warm round of applause. Mu Qianlu tightly knit his brows. He really didn't have any thoughts of going on stage. He just felt his heart hanging in the air, suffocating with fear. Director Mu, the beautiful assistant on the side, anxiously reminded him. His cold eyes narrowed as he walked onto the stage. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy that everyone can come to Heavenly Sword's anniversary celebration. For Heavenly Sword to have today's achievements, all of you have contributed greatly. His elegant female voice came from the microphone, causing the fangirls under the stage to scream. Among them, there was naturally Yingge, who had unknowingly sat in the first row. Stars sparkled in her heart as she looked at Mu Qianlu on stage with a smitten look. She secretly made a great decision in her heart. Although Director Mu had chased her out of the company, it wasn't enough to extinguish the flames in her heart. He just didn't understand her. That was why he was so cold to her. Instantly, her mind was filled with the story of the overbearing director and the strong female lead. Right? She was that female lead, chased out of the company, tricked by a little brat, and bullied by a vicious woman. When she had nothing, she met the overbearing director of her life. When Yingge was lost in her Mary Sue dream, the host's voice sounded again. Director Mu, I've received some news. I've heard that you also like playing Heavenly Sword. Yes. All right. Then I'll change the way I introduce you. The host said with a smile. Next, let us welcome the Like Summer Flowers server's #1 battle strength, 1,000 snow flowing cloud. Pa, 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 pa. After a round of warm applause, the crowd exploded. Damn. So Director Mu is 1,000 snow flowing cloud. I've seen him in the cross-server battlefield before. His skills are just too sharp. One of the experts under the stage called out this name and excitedly said, God, 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 God. My male god. What are you so excited for? You're not part of Like Summer Flowers. He was the only one who cut me in the cross-server country war. You have to know that I'm a #1 sandbag healer in the Bamboo Rhyme Breeze server. In the meeting hall, the experts were chatting with each other, chatting happily. There were two people who were strangely silent, which were Bai Yin and Yingge. Bai Yin's condition was a bit better. Although he believed that today was the most humiliating and hateful day of his life, he could only tightly clench his teeth and not allow himself to make the slightest sound. After all, Mu Qianlu was not a normal person, and he cared about the past. It was like trying to smash an egg against a rock. He deserved to die. His current situation was that he was being slapped over and over again. His face was burning with pain, and even his teeth were broken. But what could he do? In the end, he could only mix it with the blood and swallow it all. But Yingge was different. When the host said the words, 1,000 snow, flowing cloud, she felt that her heart was about to stop. In the next second, her face turned pale and bloodless, and her lips trembled. No, that's impossible. How is that possible? She bit her lip and looked at Mu Qianlu on stage as she kept shaking her head. How is this possible? How is this possible? There's nothing impossible in this world. A certain person casually sat down beside her. There was a white peaked cap on his head, and his lips were slightly curled into a relaxed smile. Chapter 174. You know it's impossible. Shouldn't you be on high? Yingge had clearly suffered a large shock. Even her lips had turned purple. What did she just see? Why was Luo Qingxin here? Wasn't she already taken away by her cousin? How could it be? How could it be possible? No, she didn't believe it. On the highway, Luo Qingshun slightly narrowed her eyes. Her clear eyes sparkled as she revealed a faint smile. Could it be that you don't know that there is a power called teleportation in this world? There was no problem. She was telling the truth. Teleportation was an incredible skill. She hoped that these canvas shoes would always have this skill. Host, please stop dreaming, all right? The teleportation canvas shoes can only be used once in this world, so they're just a pair of normal canvas shoes right now. Hee hee hee. I really have to thank the system for understanding that I can't even afford shoes these days and giving me a pair of little white canvas shoes. I is so angry. I'm being bullied by the system again. The system is so mushroom. Just who is bullying who? But Luo Qingshun could feel that the person in front of her was even angrier than her. She saw a pair of large eyes. Hearing the words teleportation that seemed to come from outer space, it was like her brain had stopped working. From a medical point of view, this was a kind of mental collapse. From a supernatural point of view, it was like seeing a ghost outside the house. She wanted to run, but her feet were like iron, and she couldn't move at all. Luo Qingshun saw that she looked like she had nothing left to live for and was about to have a mental breakdown. But she didn't feel pity for her at all. Everyone had to take responsibility for their own actions. There was no wall that didn't have a crack in this world. If you don't want people to know, don't do it. There's a saying, knows when no di wei hai yuri? You won't die if you don't seek death. You're seeking death, and you're blaming this treasure. On the other side, Muqian Lu on stage had a sparkle in his eyes. It was like he had sensed something as his eyes kept looking around the banquet hall. He was looking for the figure he wanted to see, looking for the clarity in the impetuous world. Seeing this, the host immediately adjusted the atmosphere and said excitedly, "It said that only a god can be in the same server as a god. Now, let's welcome the second player from the Summerflower server, Donghua Chenjin." Muqian Lu heard this and tightly knit his brows. When these words rang in his ears, he could clearly feel the restlessness and uneasiness in his heart. In an instant, he retracted his gaze. She felt that she could no longer suppress the longing in her heart. He couldn't stay here any longer. He had to find him. Even if he had to seal off the entire Huaihai Expressway, he would still bring her back unharmed. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 70%. The system's voice rang out in her mind. She smiled and said softly, "Beautiful." In the next second, she stood up slightly and took off her white cap. She waved her hand and said, "Here." Muqian Lu on the stage trembled as he narrowed his eyes to look at the girl walking towards him. Chapter 175. Luo Qingshun felt her heart beating faster the closer she got to the stage. Looking at his deep facial features, that deep as the night, her face was covered in a blush. There were some people who could fall in love with just a single glance. She softly blinked and her long lashes slightly trembled. She pursed her lips into a sweet smile as she stood by his side. She looked at the crowd and said, "Hello everyone, I am Donghua Chenjin." After a while, the crowd was completely silent. After 3 seconds, the crowd was in an uproar. All the people who had seen Donghua Chenjin's skills in the cross-server country wore all revealed looks of shock. There were even some people who couldn't help discussing it. Donghua Chenjin is it's actually a girl. My God, this is unbelievable. That Li Guang who wiped out our team in the cross-server war? Right, it's her. This is definitely the most powerful girl I've ever seen play games. Hong Long. With a giant sound, the noisy banquet hall was suddenly filled with silence. Looking carefully, it seemed like someone had fainted. This person was no one else but Demonic Year Young Master by Yin Yin. He felt that his heart and brain couldn't take this series of blows, and fainting was the most comfortable thing. But when everything turned black in front of him, he couldn't help shouting in his heart, "God, why are you treating me like this?" The host standing beside Luo Qingshun took 2 steps forward, wanting to see what had happened. Muqian Lu saw this and naturally took Luo Qingshun's hand beside him as he said in a gentle voice, "Let's go." Before she could react, he had already pulled her soft and slender wrist out of the banquet hall. When they reached the entrance of the banquet hall, Luo Qingshun suddenly thought of something. Damn, I forgot to pick up Qing Mo. With Luo Qingshun's reminder, Mu Qianlu also seemed to have forgotten about Cold Moon. She quickly took out her cell phone from her bag and found that there were a bunch of missed calls. Qing, Luo Qingshun. She could clearly feel that the moment she picked up the phone, Yi Qingma was in a state of rage. Qing Mo? Qing Mo. I was kidnapped. Luo Qingshun quickly admitted defeat, but she said that there was nothing wrong with what she said. What she said was from the bottom of her heart. What? Are you serious? Yi Qingma was a little skeptical, but thinking about it, after knowing this little girl for so many years, she wouldn't joke about this kind of thing. Yes, it can't be any more real. Luo Qingshun sniffed twice and continued. Where are you? I was hit by a car. What? Sitting in Mu Qian Lu's Maserati sports car, they headed straight to the scene of the incident. Fortunately, the location was not far away, and the car was fast enough. As soon as she got out of the car, she saw Yi Qingma collapsed in front of a BMW sedan. She was wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. There was a group of people watching around. She desperately squeezed in, and when she arrived at the scene of the incident, she quickly pulled Yi Qingma up and said, "What happened?" "This person hit me with a car." "Young miss, can you not be too obvious with your scammer?" A gentle and pleasant voice sounded in her ears, making Luo Qingshun feel that it was a bit familiar. Where did she hear it before? Chapter 176. Cold Moon. Mu Qianlu behind him seemed to recognize him as he softly called out his name. When these two words came from the air, the two girls in front of the BMW were stunned. Cold Moon Heaven Light? Yi Qing Mo pursed her lips as she looked at the person in front of her, looking stunned. You are. Cold Moon Heaven Light narrowed his eyes as he looked over the girl in front of him before asking this. Mu Qianlu came forward and politely reached out his hand. I am Thousand Snow, Flowing Cloud. Ah, you're Thousand Snow? After that, she pushed Luo Qingshun's arm and said, All right, you have good eyes. She is? Cold Moon Heaven Light looked at Luo Qingshun and said, Your girlfriend? Cuckoo. Luo Qingshun cleared her throat and reached out her hand with a polite smile. Hello, I am Donghua Qingjin. Ah. The air froze for 3 seconds before Cold Moon Heaven Light came back to his senses. He shook his head with a smile and said, Eastern Painting is actually a girl. No wonder Thousand Snow was so determined to form a contract, not caring about the gossip of the Summer Flowers crowd. Naturally, I don't care. Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud said with a faint smile, Let's find a place to sit down and talk. All right. Cold Moon nodded, but he didn't forget to ask, Then she is... Humph. Yi Qing Mo took Luo Qingshun's hand and walked forward while turning her head to make a face. Trash void jade. Pooh. Luo Qingshun couldn't help laughing as she said, Your bound healer is going far. She never thought that Yi Qing Mo and Cold Moon would meet in this kind of situation. She really didn't know if it was a blessing or a curse. But it seemed like fate was a bit different. After a full meal, Luo Qingshun felt that her side quest was going far, because Yi Qing Mo and Cold Moon were simply enemies. They couldn't even settle down while eating, arguing back and forth, not caring about the gazes of others at all. Luo Qingshun expressed that her heart was stifled. Okay? Almighty, do you think Qingma and Cold Moon have any hope? Luo Qingshun sat in the passenger seat of the Maserati, still thinking about her side mission. Maybe a little. Mu Qianlu pursed his lips into a smile and said, Cold Moon hasn't found a contract in this game yet. He doesn't even have a binding healer. So Cool Moon is more infatuated? Luo Qingshun turned her eyes and looked at him with a sweet smile. Compared to Great God, there's still a gap. His eyebrows twitched. You've asked so many questions. It's my turn to ask. Almighty, do you still have any questions that you can't figure out? You didn't look surprised when you introduced yourself on stage. You already knew who I was, right? Yes. How did you know? Spiritual divine technique. Luo Qingshun nodded as she spoke in a serious voice. After that, Mu Qianlu's brows relaxed, and he revealed a charming smile. What are you laughing at? All right. Mu Qianlu cleared his throat and stopped the car on the side. He unfastened his seatbelt and looked at Luo Qingshan beside him as he said in a gentle and elegant voice, "Then tell me, why did you suddenly appear here when you were on the Huaihai Highway?" For humans, this was simply an impossible matter. Luo Qingshan saw that he was coming closer and felt her heart beating like a little deer. Her white cheeks were instantly dyed with a blush. She took a deep breath and hesitantly said, "Because I can teleport." There was no problem. She was telling the truth. Why didn't he believe her? Who would the heavens let go of? "Then do you know what I want to do now?" His handsome face slowly approached her, and his lips curled into a beautiful smile. I don't know." She shyly moved back and pursed her lips as she said, "What do you want to do?" "I know how to run." Get dung. With the sound of the car door being locked, Mu Qianlu's eyes that were as dark as the night became filled with incomparable love. He softly placed a kiss on her forehead and said in a gentle voice, "I think that unless you can really teleport, you won't be able to escape," my lord contracted. Ding. Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 80%. Chapter 177. Her real life didn't change that much after meeting the great god. She still went to work from 9 to 5. Mu Qianlu didn't stop her from going to work because she was his girlfriend. Rather, he told her that she could do whatever she wanted as long as she wasn't too tired. But her work had become much easier. At least she didn't need to work overtime. However, the days in the game had undergone a drastic change. Since Sword World, Commander Magnificent Sword Reliance Swords sold his account, Sword World began to decline. Whether it was the territory war or the country war, they weren't as strong as before, but a centipede wouldn't fall down even if it died. Sword World was still much stronger than the other small guilds. Until a dark and windy night. Bai Yin directly went up to the horn and tore Yinggu apart, saying all kinds of ugly words. But since that day, Yinggu had never come online. It said that because of the large shock, she had lost her mind and was suffering from a serious mental illness. She was currently being treated at the public security hospital. Why was it the public security hospital? It was because she was suspected of kidnapping. Although it failed, after Bai Yin talked to himself about tearing Yinggu apart, he went to the horn to sell his account. The once glorious Sword World had officially announced its disbandment. The Like Summer Flowers server was now dominated by Drunken Dreamland. Dominating the server meant merging servers. Therefore, after Drunken Dreamland dominated Summer Flowers for 3 months, they officially merged with another server, Bamboo Rhyme Breeze. No, this afternoon was the first country war after merging servers. But there was no other way. She had to go to work. Luo Qingshan sat in her seat and thought about it. After thinking about it, she decided to stand up and head to Mu Qianlu's office on the 20th floor. Without knowing why, she felt that there were very few people in the company this afternoon. It was like when she turned around, there wasn't a single person in a 5-meter radius. Why was there a kind of sinister feeling? Ding dong. When the elevator reached the floor, Luo Qingshan took a deep breath and poked her head in to look outside Mu Qianlu's office. The door was wide open and his beautiful assistant wasn't there. Ding! She pressed the button for the office door. In the next second, a pleasant and gentle voice sounded, "Come in." Who? The moment she heard the human voice, she felt that her thoughts just now were completely self-indulgent, and there was no meaning to them. Well, Mr. Mu. In the company, Luo Qingshan was respectful and polite because of the relationship between superior and subordinate. Uh-huh. He lowered his head and smiled faintly. He raised his eyebrows and asked, "You want to take a leave?" Luo Qingshan blinked and said with a smile, "President Mu is so smart. You deserve to be called a master. Have you thought of a reason?" Mu Qianlu looked up, seeing through her thoughts with a single glance. Although he had seen through it, he didn't say anything. It was only because he wanted to take a few more glances at her. She looked a little aggrieved, but also a little cute. "I want to participate in the first cross-server battle between Like Summer Flowers and Bamboo Rhyme Breeze. Almighty, please allow it. I will definitely kill in all directions and leave a name for Drunken Dream." Luo Qingshan gave a serious nod and spoke the truth. "Do you know what day it is today?" His master contract didn't seem to know what day it was today, so he could only use another method to remind her. It's the day of the server merging. Luo Qingxun blinked, feeling that there was nothing wrong with what she said. Oh, that's right. Mu Qianlu narrowed his eyes and was angered by her brain that was filled with games for 3 seconds. Then his face changed, and he revealed a gentle and elegant smile as he said, "When young Miss Luo comes to ask for leave in the future, I won't approve it, except Luo Qingxun never thought that Mu Qianlu would reject her so decisively. Only after a while did she react. Couldn't the great god be a bit more tactful? Just tell me what accept." She looked at him with a face that was ready to charge through the enemy lines. A person had to be more straightforward, either charge or die. Marriage leave. The corners of his lips curled up as he watched her fall into his trap. Chapter 178. She never thought that she would be proposed to in any situation. She would occasionally think of countless possibilities, but she never thought that it would be something like asking for leave. Could it be that she had used this trick too many times and accidentally fell into his trap? As expected, don't guess the black-bellied great god's thoughts. You can't guess them anyway. That afternoon, when he said the words marriage leave, the windows of the 20th floor office were filled with balloons and flower petals. There were also cheers and blessings. It was like everyone knew about this, but she was the only one who was kept in the dark. No wonder she felt that the surroundings were strange today. He slowly stood up and walked towards her, taking out the diamond ring from his pocket. His movements were elegant and charming. He knelt down on one knee and said with a smile, "Marry me, all right? All the leave in the future will be approved." He took the bright diamond ring from his pocket and placed it on the ring finger of her right hand. He softly kissed it and then stood up to look in her misty eyes. That's right. She was moved. Although this was a trap, she was willing to fall into it and be imprisoned by him. Who proposes like this? Luo Qingxun sniffled and pursed her lips as she looked at Mu Qianlu in front of her. She saw him reveal a faint smile and raise his hand to wipe away the tears on her face as he said, "It's more romantic." He didn't know what kind of proposal would move her. He had thought of this idea for a long time and had prepared everything for this day, including the like summer flowers server and bamboo rhyme breeze server joining on the 20th of May. It was all arranged by him, all for the sake of marrying a beauty. "I want to ask for leave to go home now." She pretended to be angry as she said this. "All right, you want to ask for leave with me? All right, if like summer flowers wins tonight, I'll agree to your proposal." After that, she didn't hear an instant "all right." Rather, she saw Mu Qianlu pick up the phone on the table and press a few buttons. He said into the phone, "Tonight, bamboo rhyme breeze will stop service and like summer flowers will automatically win the cross-server country war." Poochie, she couldn't help laughing. Looking at the domineering and gentle Mu Qianlu, other than feeling warm, there was only warmth. However, she had to admit that the Almighty was really two-faced. Luo Qingxun saw him put down the phone, and her lips curled into a sweet smile. She put her hands behind her and stood on her tiptoes to kiss Mu Qianlu's lips before immediately leaving. She lowered her head and bit her lips. "I promise you." Her face was as red as an apple, not because she was shy, but because she was embarrassed. Mu Qianlu pulled her into his embrace, and his right hand softly pressed a button on the wall, instantly closing all the curtains in the office. Before Luo Qingxun could react, an overbearing and hot kiss landed on her lips. Inadvertently, it greedily eroded the fragrance between her lips and teeth inch by inch. He seemed to be infatuated with this feeling. Every time the tip of his tongue touched her, it would ignite a raging fire in his heart. It wasn't until her breathing became rapid, her body became weak, and she became dizzy from his kiss that he reluctantly left her lips. How nostalgic. Such a sweet taste. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 90%. Hearing the system's notification, she was very happy. After all, it was only a single step away from 100%. Moreover, she knew that he would definitely give her this 10% affection. Chapter 179. On the day of the wedding, Heavenly Sword released a custom set. 520 Romantic Confession Wedding Dress Limited Edition. It was given out in every region. Although it was a limited edition, this set could be bought on the day of 5/20, so there was no need to rush to buy it. Of course, Great God Thousand Snow and Great God Eastern Painted's wedding dress was a bit different compared to what others bought. On the other side, there was a new line added to the stats of their clothes. Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud suit had the words, "Only this thought, Donghua Chinjin." And Donghua Chinjin's wedding dress had the words, "Only this year, Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud." That's right, this was something that the Great God added when he was rewriting the game. As the V Group CEO, he was this willful. Of course, what was unique was that Luo Qingxin's custom-made wedding dress in Paris was the same as the one in the game, other than the finer details. Great God, you must have thought about this wedding dress for a long time. Luo Qingxin was wearing a white wedding dress with a pot of fresh flowers standing beside him, not forgetting to tease him with a smile. She really felt that the Almighty was very black-bellied. Everything he did could be done perfectly. And it's been a long time, Mu Qianlu said with a soft laugh. Moreover, as long as a player praises your beauty on the horn, the GM will remember it and give them a beautiful gift. What? There's a gift? What kind of gift? I want it. Luo Qingxin's heart was filled with joy. The Great God was this rich and overbearing. Perhaps he would even give her a cell phone or a tablet. It would be a waste if she didn't want it. She was still very willing to be praised. Wedding candy. Luo Qingxin heard this and was stunned for 3 seconds. Only when the priest asked her a question did she react. But the little thoughts in her heart were still protesting. The Great God was just too stingy. Mu Qianlu's heart indicated that he had to earn money to support his family. He couldn't casually squander money. That's right, but he couldn't casually squander money. For example, their wedding. From the wedding dress to the setting to the hotel, there wasn't a single thing that wasn't luxurious. This wedding was worth at least $1 million, but Great God Thousand Snow thought that it wasn't worth feeling heartache at all. After all, he had brought reality into the game and brought the game back to reality. Truth and falsehood, there were many things that couldn't be distinguished. But falling in love was falling in love. There was no way to escape it. There were no regrets. This game of chess was finally over. Back then, with just one glance, he had decided to marry this girl. She was his wife in the game and his wife in real life. Everything was his. The year of eternal life has never changed. However, Luo Qingxin had never thought that she would be the first to leave in this life. But they had been together for a lifetime. They didn't think it was too long, only that it was too short. That morning, the system informed her that today was the day she would return. She also had a premonition. After all, she knew her own body best. That afternoon, she was lying on the bed. Her hair was white, but her eyes were still as clear as water. He sat beside her and gently patted her hand as tears welled up in the corners of his eyes. Qing, sleep for a while if you're tired. He was still caressing her head as he spoke gently. However, his hands were now filled with wrinkles. Although it wasn't as hot as it was back then, there was an indescribable warmth. Chapter 180. He was a bit surprised, but then he nodded. He took a computer not far away and opened this game that had been out of service for many years. In this world, there was only this computer left that could enter this game. He clumsily logged into the game interface, and when he saw the words "Thousand Snow Flowing Cloud," his fingers began to tremble. He was wearing a large red elk outfit, running to the beginner village while killing pheasants. Each time a pheasant died, his eyes would reveal a look of joy. She leaned against his thigh and looked at the screen with a smile like a child. His movements were no longer as smooth, and his controls weren't as sharp. Even when he was killing the pheasants, he was a bit slow. But without knowing why, when she saw this interface, she only felt a smile in her tears. The memories of the past were like movie clips in her mind. The first time they met, the first time he fell from the sky, the first time he killed her on the battlefield, and the first time he saved her. Everything was deeply engraved in her mind, and she would never forget it. My contract. Look at how many pheasants I've killed. He looked up with a smile on his lips, but his body trembled as his smile froze on his face. She had already closed her eyes in a peaceful manner, and there was a faint smile on her lips. Her hands were still gently hugging his wrist, as if she had fallen asleep. However, when he placed his trembling hands on her neck, he hugged her like a madman. The laptop in front of him fell to the ground with a gidong sound, and the small parts fell out. In that moment, he began to cry. He knew that people would grow old, and there would be a day when they would separate. But the moment he saw her leave, he still cried. He cried like a fragile child. He used all his strength to hold her as he kept trembling. He felt that this life was too short, so short that there were many things he hadn't said to her, and many things he hadn't done with her yet, but she had left before him. Why? Why couldn't they be together forever? Luo Qingshan felt that she couldn't hear anything clearly, and her eyelids became heavier. She only knew that when her vision turned dark, the system gave her a final notification. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 100%. After being married for so many years, she had never received this 10%. She was very unwilling to accept it. He clearly loved her so much, accommodated her so much, and spoiled her so much. She even felt that he was protecting her like a little doll. But even so, the system notification never sounded again. One day, she finally couldn't take it anymore. She put her hands on her hips and angrily ran over to ask him if he didn't completely love her. Unexpectedly, he answered without any hesitation, yes. She asked him why. He said that he had to tell himself that he couldn't give her 100% love because then he wouldn't have any more love to give her. He hoped that in this lifetime, every moment, every minute, every second, he would be able to continuously give her his love. Never overflow, never stop. At that time, she burst into tears. She had never thought that she would be able to obtain such love. She had also never thought that there would be a man who would be so attentive to her and do so many affectionate things for her. Chapter 181. The blade of light was stained with dust, and it turned gentle in that moment. At the end of the crowd, they looked at each other with smiles. Mu Qianlu in my life, I had never felt any ups and downs before. Until that day, in a certain corner of the company, I looked through the glass and saw a girl wearing a goose yellow sweater. Her hands were very fast and very sharp. At that time, with my super high vision of 5.4, I could clearly see her game name. She was in the same server as me and played a male character called Donghua Chenjin. I wasn't unfamiliar with this name, but I wasn't familiar with it because she didn't belong to any war guilds and never participated in wild fights. The only time I had a chance to fight her was at the martial arts tournament a month ago. I had always been looking forward to that day, but in the final match, she didn't appear. After I calculated it, she should have been working overtime that day. When we met again, it was in the 20-person rock hammer soldier in the center of the large disc. She was very calm and could easily switch between her two forms, actually surviving my big move. This was the only time I made a mistake in this game, but this mistake was given to her, so I felt it was worth it. That was because I didn't think of anything else. The only thing I thought of was queuing for the battlefield. If I queued for the battlefield again, perhaps I would meet her again. As expected, the heavens didn't disappoint me and did as I wished. This time she was on the same side as me, so I was planning on putting her in my team from the beginning. Putting Yinran in the first team was just a trick because I didn't want to give her a chance to reject me. Even if she didn't switch to light to heal me, I would have protected her to the end. In this rockhammer battlefield, as long as I didn't die, she wouldn't die. Later, I saw Demonic Year Young Master arguing with her over a wet nurse on the horn. Demonic Year Young Master said that she stole her contract, but her tone was calm and she didn't deny it. I couldn't guess what kind of person she was. She was clearly a soft and cute girl, but she had to make people think that she was a cold and domineering man. I thought that I wasn't a high-profile person, so I just watched by the computer and didn't immediately help her cross servers. Until Demonic Year Young Master brought a mob to attack her in the capital, I finally gave up on my principles. One flashy scattering 1,000 blades was enough to teach them a lesson, but I never thought that when Demonic Year Young Master kept slandering her, she would actually say that she liked men. So, is she saying that she likes me? At this moment, my emotions completely took over my rationality. I didn't even think about it before typing on the server. Fox's contracted land will be waiting for you. At that time, I didn't know if she would come, but I hoped she would. To be honest, when I saw that she was in Foxland, my heart didn't skip a beat. This is the first time in my life that I've felt such a burning sensation in my heart. After I hooked her up and made her my contracted partner, I found that everything was going smoothly. Every day when I went to the company, I felt that I had new expectations. Sometimes, I would purposely not take the elevator to bump into her. Sometimes, I would purposely go to the design department just to see her. Sometimes, I would forcefully get in touch with her. For example, knowing that there was a territorial battle tonight, but still asking the design department to work overtime. Actually, I just miss her. I want to see her. I want to hear her talk. I want her to ask for leave for me. Chapter 182. The thing that surprised me the most was that during the territory war, she suddenly logged off and turned into a cute little lowly when she came back. At that time, I was stunned. I felt that in that moment, she was the most beautiful scenery, mesmerizing me for an entire lifetime. I personally watched this little lowly kill her way into an army of 10,000. Her skills flowed like water, not stopping at all. I killed my way into the enemy while paying attention to her movements, thinking if I could be the hero to save the beauty again. She wore female clothes, and I was the true hero to save the beauty. Finally, demonic young master surrounded her and gave me this chance. It had to be said, I really enjoyed this kind of absolute slaughter. The feeling of firmly protecting her by my side was just too wonderful. After that, we were finally going to meet. I had waited for this day for a long time, but the heavens suddenly played a joke on me. She was kidnapped. I was very anxious and filled with regret. I was anxious that I couldn't do anything, regretting that I didn't personally pick her up. If it wasn't for my mistake, she wouldn't have fallen into this kind of danger. But what made me incomparably surprised was that she had suddenly appeared in the banquet hall from several kilometers away on the highway. In that moment, she was wearing a white shirt with a pair of youthful jeans. The white canvas shoes on her feet were even more dazzling. She was just like a 17-year-old girl, walking out of a painting in school. At that time, I could feel my strong heartbeat and the heat in my blood. She revealed a faint smile and introduced herself in a shy manner. I had been watching her the entire time. When she said the words Donghua Chinjin, the crowd exploded. The men all looked at her with different eyes. There was worship, admiration, and even a bit of infatuation. My heart was very uncomfortable looking at them, so I took advantage of the time when the host wasn't paying attention and led her out of the banquet hall. That was the first time I held her hand. Her palm was warm, and her fingertips were a bit cold. I had a feeling at that time that once I decided to hold her hand, I wouldn't let go. The only thing I had to do was propose. I had thought about this plan for a long time. It had to be sweet and romantic. It had to be original. We had truly interacted in the game, so we would start from there. The design concept of the famous designer Ron from Paris, France, combined with the elements of the fashion design of the game Heavenly Sword. The combination of the two created the world's most unique wedding dress for her. During the wedding, she asked me a very interesting question. That was, Heavenly Sword's gift was wedding candy. Actually, at that time, I wanted to tell her that I used to be a spendthrift and lived a carefree life based on my own happiness. Now that I have her, I have to think about how to live my life. Digression. #shock. A billionaire CEO is marrying his wife. In order to live a prosperous life in the future, the exquisite gift is actually wedding candy. I'm very glad that I played such a game. It brought me the person I loved the most in my life and the most beautiful years of my life. Although, I hate that she left before me. But this was also good. She closed her eyes in my arms and didn't have to feel the separation of life and death. Everything will be borne by me because I promised her that I would protect her for the rest of her life. On the 7th day after she left, I had a beautiful dream. It was a bloody battlefield filled with smoke. She stood in front of me in her snowy white clothes, so dazzling. Let's advance and retreat together, killing in all directions. Countless people cheered for us, but I only had you in my eyes. How lucky am I to look back and see you bringing the city's spring scenery. Chapter 183. Charge in. Kill. Quickly take down Li Guang on the other side, and then take down the light blade. Good. Very good, just like this. Charge in. Take down the ancestral dragon, and obtain victory. System. Are all the guests satisfied with the system's opening? If you want to ask who the system likes the most in this world, it has to be the great god, elegant, sword-reliant god. That commanding voice, how feminine. Sorry. Now we'll enter the main topic. The one being interviewed this time is the most handsome, powerful, and black-bellied great god Mu Qianlu from the game god world. Now, we'll enter the 10 questions and 10 answers. Please listen to the questions. Great god, the system excitedly shouted. The great god could be labeled cold and aloof. First question, the first time you entered the battlefield, you were in enemy mode. Why did you chase after her in the end, not showing any mercy at all? Because I wanted her to remember me. After all, enemies leave a deeper impression than comrades. My god, don't guess the black-bellied great god's thoughts. You can't guess them anyway. Second question, when you crossed servers and wanted to become a contract with her, did you feel embarrassed by the gossip from the crowd? After all, she was playing a male character in the game. Embarrassed? Can I say that even if she was a man in real life, I would still love her? 3 crows flew over the system's head, and it was suddenly petrified. Third question, who do you hate the most in this world? It's a bit too many. Sigma? Winky face. Demonic year, young master. Life written in water, and only young master? Oh, that's right. There's also Xiao Chun. God, why are there so many people? Because I don't understand why they keep coming to form a contract with me. Can't my contract just stay by my side and not see anyone else? Yes, you're a great god. Everything you say is right. Equals? Smiley face. The system already couldn't understand this black-bellied person's thoughts. It was afraid that if it asked a few more questions, it would eat a full 1,000 flashy scatterblades. Fourth question, do you like the feeling of being with her in a game or the feeling of being in real life? Of course it's reality. In reality, I can look at her, hug her, kiss her, dote on her, sleep with her. Ahem. In short, I like the feeling of having her firmly locked by my side. After all, she is my contracted partner. It was like eating a mouthful of dog food without warning. The system said, this segment can be canceled in the future. Fifth question, do you think it has any deterrence against demonic year, young master? He's a love rival. In my eyes, he has always been an enemy. There's no such thing as heartless. Sixth question, tell me something stupid that you think you've done. Yeah, ever since I found out that she's playing this game, I've been waiting for her to come online every day. It took me 10 whole days to finally be able to enter at the same time as her. As expected, the CEO is so free. The system was very envious. Seventh question, what do you think is the coolest thing you've done? During the internal PK in the company, I used bloodshed extinction in front of her. The system also felt that the great god was especially handsome at that time. After all, the only person in this world that can kill me is her. System voice. Number 520 just passed. Can you not spread dog food? Hashtag. Eighth question. When do you think she was the most dazzling? At the anniversary press conference, wearing a clean white shirt, a pair of dazzling white shoes, and that sweet smile. Ninth question. Do you still want to meet her? Won't I always meet her? No matter what her identity is, we will meet again. The system knows. Parting was for a better reunion. 10th question. Cuckoo, say something to her. This life has not been foretold, but we will never let each other down. The system is in a daze announcing the end of the interview with the game god, world's male, lead Mu Qianlu. Chapter 184. Host. The system shouted many times before Luo Qingshun came back to her senses. So this plane had ended again. Sure enough, she couldn't bear to part with it. The host can choose to watch what happened in the plane after your death. Yes/no. So it could be like this. Luo Qingshun thought for a moment. After all, in the previous planes, they either died together or the other party died first. It seemed like she had never died first. Yes. She nodded and decided to take a look. The bronze mirror in the chaotic space emitted white smoke, and then the scene after her death appeared in the mirror. Before she could see for 10 seconds, her eyes were wet. It was a place like a dream, a white fence, pink petals, a white lace cradle with a delicate box inside. She didn't need to guess to know that it contained her ashes. He had once told her that if she were to leave this world before him one day, it would be best if she did. He would definitely not leave her with anyone else and would guard her alone. Wherever she went to rest, he would accompany her. That night, he leaned on the rocking chair to guard her, but he didn't expect that he would never wake up again. In a dream, he was still in that online game world, the world where they met, got to know each other, and fell in love. The next second, the bronze mirror gradually blurred. Luo Qingxun only felt that her vision was blurred along with the mirror. Before she could react, tears fell first. As the host sorted out her mood, "Phew," Luo Qingxun sighed in relief, nodded and said, "Let's continue." She had to keep moving forward. She would meet him, she firmly believed. That person was waiting for her. The following is a summary of the data for this mission. Please read it carefully. Name: Luo Qingxun Plain Space. The violent contract of the online game God Mission Completion. 60%, 300 experience, and 1,000 exchange points deducted. Experience, originally 1,300. Mission completion, poor, 300 deducted. Exchange points, 2,900, originally 4,900. 2 skills are deducted. 1,000 is deducted. Mission completion, poor, 1,000 is deducted. Reward, time and space freeze for 1 minute, can only be used once. This 60% was really heart-wrenching. She didn't need to ask the system to know why. He didn't complete the side quest. However, although she didn't help Yi Qingma obtain true love within a month, she still got together with Cold Moon a year later. She was not convinced by this 60%. Okay, but what could he do? Fine. His exchange points had returned to the starting point of the previous dimension. One old friend. Host. The 5th mission panel is below. Experience, appearance, physical strength, charm, figure. Other than experience, all other values are only for this mission and have nothing to do with other missions. Apart from the fact that the female lead in this dimension is pretty good looking, the rest of them are just average. His looks are pretty good. The host is so picky. Unlovable system. In the next second, the image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission rating, B completed. Gained experience, 500. Exchange points, 3,000. Skill, telekinesis, one-time use. Item, beauty elixir, elixir that prevents aging, can only be used in a single unit. Portable space expansion pack. Female lead, Luo Qingxun male lead. Chu Nanxian supporting female lead. Qian Chu Yue supporting male lead. Chu Beiyi mission content. Return to 6 months before the female lead died and obtain the love of the male lead Chu Nanxian. The Ancient King chapter, there's a kind of transmigration feeling, isn't there? Luo Qingxun gave 2 giggles, expressing her excitement. Currently importing memories, please properly receive them. Host. Chapter 185. It had to be said, seriously receiving the previous host's memories. Luo Qingxun said, it was all her own doing, she couldn't be blamed. The previous host was the pearl of General Luo's manor. When she was young, she accidentally fell into a valley because she wanted to play, but she was saved by the male lead Chu Nanxian and safely returned. After several years, the previous host kept looking for the person who saved her, but there was no news at all, until the supporting male lead Chu Beiyi appeared, making the female lead mistakenly think that the person who saved her was the king Chu Manners Beiyi. The supporting male lead had heard the story of his little brother and the person in his heart by chance, so he knew what was going on. Later, when he was on the streets of a lantern festival, he heard the same story. What he never thought was that the other side was General Luo's manor's most favored young miss, Luo Qingxun. The supporting male lead Chu Beiyi hated his little brother. He was clearly King Chu's eldest son, but he wasn't favored by King Chu. His little brother Chu Nanxian had been weak since he was young, but he was deeply loved by King Chu. That was because Chu Nanxian's mother was King Chu's most favored princess. Although she had passed away several years ago, she couldn't take away King Chu's love and longing for her. Chu Beiyi hated the unfairness of this world. Therefore, Not long after Chu Nansien was born, Chu Beiyi and his unfavored mother worked together to poison him with the blood goo insect. They thought that they could take his life, but they never thought that his mother would take him out of the King Chu manor that night. She only left a letter saying that she was looking for a famous doctor. They never thought that when they came back half a month later, he would be alive. Chu Beiyi and his mother didn't dare believe it, but they had no choice but to believe it. The blood goo insect was the most poisonous poison in the world, but it still allowed Chu Nansien to live. It could only be said that his life wasn't meant to end. But Chu Beiyi didn't stop thinking of killing him. Instead, he took it one step at a time, constantly thinking of ways to kill him. It was a pity that he had failed. The only success was because Chu Nansien was destined to bring misfortune to his wife. When his sixth princess consort died, King Chu finally had a grudge against him. After all, because of Chu Nansien, the King Chu manor was a hell-like existence. As long as a bride married, in less than 3 days, she would die strangely. The autopsy results showed that all the women who had been married were virgins. There were even rumors among the people that Chu Nansien cultivated a demonic cultivation technique. But it wasn't to marry girls, rather it was to kill them. Of course, this was all thanks to the supporting male, lead Chu Beiyi. He couldn't kill Chu Nansien, but that didn't mean he couldn't kill his princess. However, when King Chu was planning on finding another princess for Chu Nansien, the supporting male lead couldn't sit still. Because this time, King Chu wanted to marry his adopted daughter, Qian Chuyu, who had lived in King Chu manor since she was a child, to her. What King Chu didn't know was that the person Qian Chuyu loved since she was young was Chu Beiyi. Chu Beiyi naturally knew this, so he wasn't willing to let Qian Chuyu marry a sick, weak chicken. He did not allow it, nor was he willing. However, no one dared to defy King Chu's orders. After pondering for a long time, he actually thought of a countermeasure. A few years ago, he shamelessly told the original owner that he was the one who saved her. After the original owner heard the story, she believed it without a doubt and completely gave her heart to it. But she never thought that Chu Beiyi would only use her. After King Chu set a wedding day for his little brother Chu Nansien, Chu Beiyi begged King Chu to marry the original owner of the General Luo Manor, helping his little brother Chu Nansien's wedding. King Chu was filled with joy when he heard that Luo Qingshun was also in love with him. After all, he already wanted to be on good terms with the Luo family, but he never found a chance. This time it was just right. Because Chu Beiyi and the original owner were in love, their wedding was quickly prepared. King Chu also decided to listen to Chu Beiyi's suggestion and held his 2 sons' weddings on the same day. Chapter 186. With the careful planning of the supporting male lead, Chu Beiyi, the plan of swapping the bride on the wedding night was a perfect success. The next morning, the rice had already been cooked. Although King Chu was very angry and killed everyone involved, he had no choice but to accept this mistake for his face. With this, the previous host became Chu Nansien's 7th princess consort, and Qian Chuyu became Chu Beiyi's princess consort. If you think that this matter is over, you are completely wrong. Chu Beiyi told the previous host that everything that happened was Chu Nansien's doing. He wanted to kill her. After all, Chu Nansien had already lost 6 princess consorts. The previous host liked Chu Beiyi to begin with, so naturally she didn't doubt him. After that, the previous host hated Chu Nansien to her bones. Chu Beiyi told the previous host that as long as his little brother died, he could marry her and even run away with her. The previous host secretly made her decision. Not only did she help Chu Beiyi put a slow-acting poison in Chu Nansien's tea each day, she also taunted Chu Nansien and looked down on him. However, even like this, Chu Nansien still pampered her. He built a garden for her, recited poems for her, picked out clothes for her, and built her a palace for her. After all, she was the only princess consort that hadn't been killed by him. Although Chu Nansien was very clear why the previous 6 princess consorts had died so quickly and the previous host hadn't. He also knew that the previous host was Chu Beiyi's person. However, the previous host was a kind-hearted person, having flesh and blood. The longer she was with the male lead Chu Nansien, the more she felt that he wasn't as despicable as Chu Bei said. Other than his body being a bit weak, everything else seemed quite good. When the balance in her heart was wavering, Chu Bei took advantage of King Chu's illness to personally find her and gave her a poisonous dagger. He wanted her to use the intention of sleeping with him to kill Chu Nanxian. Helpless, helpless, helpless. The previous host still believed that Chu Bei would marry her and took the dagger. That night, the clouds filled the sky. She gritted her teeth as she stabbed the dagger into Chu Nanxian's body, but her tears fell. In that moment, she regretted it. But how could Chu Bei give her time to regret? He charged into their palace and threw the previous host into prison under the name of catching the assassin, waiting for her punishment. But no matter how much he calculated, he never would have thought that the dying Chu Nanxian wouldn't die. He used his last bit of strength to rescue the original owner and escorted her safely away. That night, the stars twinkled in the sky and the Chu royal residence was ablaze. The previous host didn't know how Chu Nanxian destroyed the entire King Chu manor by himself. She just knew that in the fire that night, not a single person from the King Chu manor survived. Among them was the male lead, Chu Nanxian. The previous host's heart was filled with guilt and a faint love that the male lead had never felt before. On the 7th day after Chu Nanxian died, she was too sad and died of depression. At this point, her obsession, which was a combination of guilt and love, came to the chaos world, and the original owner, Luo Qingshan, appeared. Luo Qingshan looked around. This was a backyard full of crabapple flowers. There were countless rare species and bright red leaves. It was so beautiful that people couldn't take their eyes off it. System, to put it bluntly, the original owner regretted it after she had done it. Yes, he was not worthy of sympathy at all. It has nothing to do with sympathy. The host only needs to complete the mission. Abusing the supporting female lead and supporting male lead was the main mission, all right? If the previous host did it herself, her heart could still be saved, but she couldn't take the other two pieces of trash. All right, I won't say anything else. First, tell me the male lead's affection for the previous host. Host, right now is the 7th day since you married into the King Chu manor. The male lead's affection for the previous host is 20%. Chapter 187. Luo Qingshan stood up from the stone bench in the courtyard and walked forward. Before she even reached the palace, she saw Qian Chuyu's figure. AI, isn't this the legendary supporting female lead? She was dressed in a light yellow robe, and her arrogant appearance made people want to go up and slap her. Aya, isn't this little sister Qingshan? Have you been well these past few days? Big sister can feel that you're haggard looking at you. After saying this, she deliberately came closer and held her fan as she said in a soft voice, "Could it be? Ha, ha. Master Nan's body is so weak that he can't satisfy little sister." As soon as her voice fell, there was an enchanting smile. As expected, there was no lack of this kind of idiot in every world. What does it matter to you? Luo Qingshan's eyes turned cold as she said, "You." Qinshu never thought that Luo Qingshan would be this direct. She thought that with her glowing appearance in front of her, she would be jealous. After all, she was very clear in her heart that Luo Qingshan loved her husband Chu Bei. Moreover, her love was incurable. "You're unhappy, but I won't argue with you. It's getting late. If I go back any later, Master Bei will be worried." Her eyes were filled with pride, as if she was saying that the man you love the most only has eyes for me. What does it matter to me? She gave a soft laugh and gave a shrug, as her face was filled with an indifferent expression. There was no problem. What did this matter to her? These simple words made Qian Chuyu's face turn red with anger. But the most worrying thing was that she couldn't refute it. Qian Chuyu angrily stomped her foot and walked forward. Luo Qingshan behind her narrowed her eyes. This kind of supporting female lead with an IQ of 250, wouldn't she be taken care of in a few minutes? She gave a slight nod, seeing that it was getting late. In order to complete the mission, she had to find the male lead first. Before she even reached the Heart Palace Hall, her footsteps slowed to a halt. What entered her eyes was Chu Nanxian's figure. It had to be said, he really was good-looking. Although he was a little thin and weak, he still couldn't compare to that handsome face. His gentle face was suffused with a quiet and gentle light, like the brilliance of the bright moon. She was slightly stunned, her heart aching for the original owner's eyes. She didn't fall in love with this kind of youth, and actually fell in love with a scum like Chu Bei. Nansien. She nodded slightly and walked straight to the person in front of her. Chu Nansien heard this, and his heart skipped a beat. This was the first time he had called her by her full name, and it wasn't even her full name. You. Chu Nansien was stunned as a trace of doubt appeared in his eyes. It wasn't that he didn't know who sent his seventh consort. He just didn't want to expose her. After all, he had recognized her at first sight. Who would have thought that time would pass so quickly and she would forget about him so easily in a mortal world? But so what? It was good that he remembered. Wasn't it a kind of fate that she was brought to his side by the heavens? What are you thinking about? Luo Qingshun came to his side and waved her jade-like hand in front of his stunned eyes. She said with a faint smile, "Let's go back to the Heart Palace for dinner. I'm so hungry." Chu Nansien felt his breathing stop as his eyes were fixed on her. He saw her standing under the begonia tree in the yard, with the orange sunset behind her. Her eyes were clear, and there was a faint smile on her lips. Just like a spring breeze, just like a ray of light, it directly shined into his heart. Why did she suddenly change from being incomparably cold? Chapter 188. Damn, my powerful system. This should be a C-grade mission. Why does it feel a bit easy to complete? Host, please don't doubt the missions the system gives you. The missions will only become harder and harder. System notification. The host must remember that while you are changing the male lead's fate, you are also changing the ending of some stories. The system's words made Luo Qingshun's heart filled with a bit of worry. The system had never said anything about affecting the ending in the previous worlds, but there must be a reason why it said it this time. All right. He gave a soft nod. Although his face was a bit pale, his smile was still that good-looking. He didn't walk side by side with her. Rather, he silently followed behind her. He was like a knight, protecting her. There weren't many people in the Heart Palace. They were all clever maids. When she came in, one of the maids came forward and said, "Princess Consort Qing, someone is looking for you in the side palace." Luo Qingshun slightly knit her brows and nodded. She said to Chu Nansien behind her, "I'll be back soon." He looked into her clear eyes and nodded, but there was a layer of mist over his dark eyes. In the end, she was still acting. She could guess that this person didn't come with good intentions. As expected, "Princess Consort Qing, this is the medicine our master is giving you for the next 7 days. Master said that he is waiting for your good news." Yuhi's lips curled into a sinister smile. Luo Qingshun heard this and took the medicine. Her lips curled into a faint smile as she said, "Definitely, definitely." After Yuhi left, she put the medicine into her sleeve. She thought that it might be useful in the future. After all, what she liked to do the most was giving people a taste of their own medicine. Otherwise, you can feel her pain from before and waste her trip to this world. Returning to the Heart Palace, Luo Qingshun learned from the previous host and made some fragrant flower tea in the kitchen. She put in a few begonia flower petals that she picked when she came back, and also put in a few spoonfuls of honey. Although she didn't know if it tasted good, it did smell very fragrant. She brought the flower teapot into the hall and sat down beside him while saying, "This is the begonia flower I just picked. It should taste good. I heard from Yin Yin that you like sweeter tea, so I added some honey." As soon as she finished speaking, before he could say anything, she poured a cup of tea for him and said, "Try it?" He nodded slightly. Looking at the pair of clear and worry-free eyes in front of him, his heart ached. After she married him, she didn't speak more than 3 sentences a day. Only when she drank tea before dinner did her expression soften a little. He knew why. After all, she wanted him dead. He was proficient in medicine and pharmacology, so how could he not know that there was a slow-acting poison in this tea every day? It was just that he didn't want to expose it. After all, when he was on the verge of death, his mother had brought him out of the king's palace and headed to the ancient and mysterious evil monarch's court. The old pavilion master had given him the poison-repelling divine pill to remove the poisonous blood parasite in his body. From then on, he was immune to all poisons. The price was to leave behind his 2 souls and 6 spirits, using another will to become the new pavilion master of the evil monarch's court. There was a rumor amongst the people, above Junxia, barter for barter, life for life. This was a place where anything could be exchanged, and the pavilion master was a mysterious and powerful existence. Chu Beiyi thought that his body was weak because of the blood parasite, but that wasn't the case. It was only because there was only 1 soul and 1 spirit left in Chu Nanxian's body. Thank you. His lips curled into a helpless, bitter smile, but he still took the cup and drank it all. In the next second, his figure froze, and his deep eyes shone with fragmented light. This cup of tea, it actually didn't have the slow-acting poison he tasted a few days ago. What is it? It doesn't taste good. Luo Qingqian saw that he was stunned and poured a cup of tea for herself with a frustrated look. She blinked and took a sip before saying, "It seems like there's too much honey." Chapter 189. No, it's not. Chu Nanxian shook his head. His slender fingers took the jug and poured another cup. After drinking it all, he said with a smile, "It's very good." He was just a bit happy. Without knowing why, she had actually changed. Chu Nanxian felt a fleeting feeling in his heart. It was like a dream, a sweet dream. It seems like Nian Nian understands you very well. Luo Qingqian saw his embarrassed appearance and deliberately looked at the maid Nian Nian beside her, teasing her. Princess Consort Qing, Nian Nian doesn't dare. Nian Nian was scared by her, and her face instantly turned pale as she quickly explained. Luo Qingqian heard this and said with a faint smile, "I'm just teasing you." "That's right. I heard the servants say that King Chu is holding a hunt in the Pine Mound Mountains tomorrow." According to the memories of the previous host, there was indeed this hunt. The previous host had urged Chu Nanxian to go. He didn't want to go at first, but he still went under the previous host's coaxing. In her memories, if she didn't remember wrong, during the Pine Mound Mountains hunt, Chu Beiyi had almost taken Chu Nanxian's life. If it wasn't for the maid Nian Nian blocking that arrow for him, he would have died. "Yes." Nian Nian nodded as she obediently said, "It's a pity that young Master Nan can't go." "Why can't he go?" Luo Qingqian looked at Chu Nanxian and said, "How can he win if he doesn't go?" "Qingqian." Chu Nanxian slightly knit his brows as a sense of loss filled his heart. He didn't care about the gazes of others before, but now he had a feeling of wanting to protect her. Relax, relax. We're just going to join in the fun." She gave him a wink as she pursed her lips into a smile. But if the heavens gave her another chance, she definitely wouldn't go to the Pine Mound Mountains hunt. The system was right. The ending had unknowingly changed. Although, she hated this kind of change. The next morning, Luo Qingqian was wearing men's clothes that made it easier for her to ride a horse. Chu Nanxian was wearing a white robe. He loved the color white, giving off a feeling of being untainted by mud, looking very charming. So good-looking. Luo Qingqian pursed her lips and looked at him. She couldn't help but feel happy. It was no wonder the King Chu Manor's maids couldn't help stopping whenever they passed by the Heart Palace. After all, Chu Nanxian wasn't a normal kind of good-looking. Instead, it was a face that could captivate thousands of young girls. It was no wonder that there were people who wanted to marry into the family, even though there were already dead concubines. Sure enough, being good-looking was an asset. "Is Qing talking about you or me?" Chu Nanxian picked up the wooden comb beside the mirror and slowly combed her hair. He was a very casual person. Although he was the son of King Chu and had been given a title by the current emperor, he rarely referred to himself as this king, whether it was for her or Nian Nian. She stood up abruptly and smiled mischievously with her hands clasped behind her back. "Of course I'm talking about you, but I think Qing is the prettiest." He blushed shyly, his lips curling into a charming smile. She also smiled at him. The begonia petals outside the window drifted in with the wind, as quiet and beautiful as a painting. "Master, Princess Consort Qing, it's time to set off." Nian Nian's voice came from outside the room. Luo Qingqian softly took Chu Nanxian's arm and revealed a sweet smile to him before walking out of the room. Chu Nanxian was a bit stunned. After a few seconds, he took her hand and intertwined his fingers in her palm. She only felt a wave of warmth coming from her palm. It was so deep. When she walked out of the King Chu manor, she saw the supporting male lead Chu Bei Yi from this world. He was wearing a set of purple robes that gave people a majestic feeling. There was a Qian Chuyu wearing a goose-yellow dress standing beside him. Luo Qingqian's eyes inadvertently looked over Chu Beiye's face, not stopping at all. Chu Beiye's heart trembled. When she saw him in the past, her eyes would always be on him. Not only was she sweetly holding Chu Nanxian's hand today, she didn't even look at him. Chapter 190. Has little brother Xian's body been better lately? Pine Mountain is in the cold north, and the wind is strong. Chu Beiye's brows twitched, and his lips curled into a mocking smile as he looked at Chu Nanxian as he spoke. Luo Qingqian heard this, and her lips curled slightly as she said, "I will take care of my master. There's no need for Master Bei to worry." She could clearly feel Chu Beiye's eyes turn cold. His eyes were wide open as he looked at her in disbelief. How is this possible? How could these words come from her mouth? Didn't she like him the most? Didn't she charge at him like a fly whenever she saw him? Why was it that she was swaying with a faint smile, but she was so far away from him? Master Bei, we're getting in the carriage. Qian Chuyu on the side couldn't take Chu Beiye's gaze on Luo Qingqian. She curled her lips and spoke in a charming voice from the side. Chu Beiye saw King Chu come over and couldn't say anything else. He could only get in the carriage with a cold snort. Qing, are you really going? Chu Nanxian was clearly a bit worried. I'm not afraid of being in danger. I'm afraid I can't protect you. There was a faint worry in his eyes. Although the previous 6 princess consorts had been unknowingly killed by Chu Beichun, he didn't feel any heartache at all. However, he didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. Perhaps it was because he knew that he only had one spiritual soul and one physical soul. At most, he could only help them out of pity. But she was different. She was like the petals of a begonia flower, falling by his side like a spring breeze without any warning. His body would become weaker at night, and he couldn't even lift a basin of water. How could he protect her like this? Don't worry, I'll protect you. Luo Qingqian casually winked at him and said, If anyone dares bully you, I'll beat them up. There was no problem. It didn't matter if she couldn't beat them. She had the system. The host thinks of the system at this time. It's no use thinking of you at other times. I don't like you. The host only knows how to bully the system all day. The carriage was very bumpy on the way, and she leaned against him, listening to the system tell her about him being the pavilion head of the evil monarch's court. Because even the original owner herself didn't know about these things, she had no impression of them in her mind. System, so what you mean is, only after he fell asleep would the 2 souls and 6 spirits in the other body awaken. The evil monarch's court's pavilion head only has a soul and doesn't have a body. Therefore, no matter how powerful he is, he can't leave the pavilion. Only the soul? Then why did the old pavilion master choose him to be the new pavilion master? Because the old pavilion master is his grandfather. If it weren't for this relationship, how could the blood parasite poison be removed at such a price? Then how could his 3 souls and 7 spirits return to their original positions? The person he loved the most in his life was sacrificed with his blood. When Luo Qingqian heard the last 4 words, she felt her hair stand on end and didn't ask any more questions. Although she really wanted to help Chu Nanxian recover his normal body, as long as she stayed by his side, he could live a happy life with just a single soul, right? Master, Princess Consort Qing, we're here. When Yin Yin opened the curtain, her face turned red. Luo Qingqian was currently curled up in Chu Nanxian's embrace, sleeping very soundly. When she heard Yin Yin's voice, she rubbed her eyes and looked up at Chu Nanxian. She saw that his arms were so swollen that he couldn't move at all. There were beads of sweat on his forehead, but his eyes were still as gentle as water. Chapter 191. She pursed her lips and shook her head. Luo Qingqian's heart was filled with an indescribable feeling of warmth. This was her first time in a world. She didn't experience any sadness. She didn't experience any hard work, and she was pampered like she was in the palm of his hand. After a while, the numbness in his right hand gradually faded. He took the bag from the back of the horse carriage and took out a moon-white cloak. It softly fell onto her body and tied the belt around her. Many years later, when she thought of this scene again, her lips couldn't help curling into a smile. Chuyu, I'll let you see this master's exquisite archery skills. When Luo Qingxin came out of the horse carriage, she heard Chu Bei Ye's loud voice. It was like no one could hear him. He even specially increased his voice by a few decibels. She could clearly feel the hands that were holding her tremble slightly, and then they gripped her palm even more tightly. In that moment, Luo Qingxin thought that Chunan Xian should be very lonely. After his mother passed away, other than the maid Nian Nian, there was no one else by his side. With a thin and weak body, he suffered from schemes, curses, and false rumors every day. He must be filled with despair, but it was a good thing that she was here. She would stay by his side in this life. She wouldn't let him feel this kind of loneliness. Xiao, xiao, xiao. Chu Bei shot out 3 arrows and hit a wild rabbit. Wah, young Master Bei is so powerful. Qian Chuyu directly jumped up and clapped her hands like an infatuated little girl. Not bad. King Chu, who always praised people, also nodded. This confirmation filled Chu Bei Ye's heart with joy, and the flames of battle began to burn. System, does the system have an archery skill that can be exchanged? Yes, it requires 500 exchange points. Why were all skills this expensive? Does the host want to exchange? Exchange. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for a 100% hit archery skill, only available in this world. This is considered powerful? Luo Qingxin's lips curled as she casually picked up the bow on the horse's back. She pulled the bow, shot the arrow, and the rabbit fell to the ground. Before anyone could react, she picked up 2 more arrows. After 2 whooshing sounds, the 2 forest deer fell to the ground and screamed. For a long time, the air seemed to be frozen in silence. King Chu was the first to react. He clapped his hands. His deep applause and deep voice sounded together. Good. You are indeed the daughter of great General Luo. You do not lose out to men. Many thanks for father's praise. She nodded slightly, Li Guang flashing in her eyes. She could feel the deep gaze of the person beside her, and she could also feel Chu Bei Ye's probing gaze. After leading King Chu away, she raised her eyebrows slightly and glanced at Qian Chuyu in front of her. This is called powerful. Do you understand? You. Qian Chuyu gritted her teeth and fiercely stomped her feet. When had she ever received such humiliation from Luo Qingxin? Although she had a low status before, she was deeply loved by Chu Bei Yi. At least when it came to love, her position was many times higher than hers. But now, she didn't care at all. She didn't care about her existence. She didn't even care about Chu Bei Ye's existence. Chuyu. She wanted to say something, but she was cut off by Chu Bei Yi beside her. His dark eyes narrowed with a look of appreciation. His lips curled slightly as he looked at Luo Qingxin in front of him and said, I wonder if I can have a competition with sister-in-law. This king hasn't used his muscles in a long time. Luo Qingxin heard this, and her beautiful eyes narrowed. Her long lashes slightly trembled, and her lips curled into a faint smile as she said, I'm not willing. Chapter 192. Humph, I'm afraid you don't dare. Qian Chuyu rolled her eyes and said, I'm afraid those 3 arrows were just luck. I'll be afraid if we really compete. How about you try your luck for me to see? Luo Qingxin narrowed her eyes, and a sinister look flashed in them. Qian Chuyu seemed to be scared by this look and couldn't help taking a step back, moving towards Chu Bei Yi. Chuyu doesn't know anything about riding and shooting. Little sister-in-law, please don't mind. Chu Bei Yi deliberately gently took Qian Chuyu's hand, but his eyes were still on her, not leaving at all. Not knowing anything about riding and shooting isn't scary. She shook her head and her lips slightly curled as she said, What's scary is that she doesn't have a brain. There was nothing wrong with what she said. A person with 100% accuracy could be considered luck. Did she really bring her brain out? You. Qian Chuyu's lips couldn't help trembling from anger. Do you think it's not embarrassing enough? When she was about to refute, Chu Bei Yi cut her off. His face sunk with a bit of anger, and Qian Chuyu didn't say anything else. In the end, she could only viciously glare at the person in front of her, looking at the sweet smile on her face. It had to be said, Pine Mountain was indeed a bit cold. She could feel the chill with the cloak around her, not to mention Chunan Xian, who had a weak body. He gave 2 dry coughs, and his face became even more pale, but he tightly bit his lip and didn't say a thing. Nian Yin, go to the horse carriage and get the monk fruit tea I made yesterday. Also bring 2 apples. Luo Qingshan softly called Nian Yin beside her before turning to Chunan Xian and saying, Master, let's sit on the side and drink some tea. She admitted that she wanted to abuse the supporting male and female lead and didn't put his body first. It's fine. He slowly looked up and helped her put on the loose cloak. After a while, he looked up to ask her, I've never heard you say before that you have some understanding of riding and shooting. She really was different. That confident look on her face, whether it was when he saved her when she was young or when she married him, he had never seen it before. This kind of confident aura, it was not something that could appear in a single wave. As his other identity, he had seen countless people, but he had never seen anyone like her. He still didn't know why she had changed, but he was somewhat addicted to her change. If nothing would change, how good would it be to continue living like this? Isn't it good that you're powerful now? That way, I can protect you. Her eyebrows moved slightly as a sweet smile appeared on her lips. Haha, you want to protect people with your skills. Qian Shuyu proudly shook her head and said, Our family's master Bei has already shot several hares. Unlike you, who can only drink tea, Nian Yin could understand Qian Chuyu's meaning, let alone her. What? A little girl, like you wants to talk back to me? When Qian Chuyu saw that Nian Yin was the first to speak, she fiercely glared at her. Looking at her posture, it was as if she wanted to slap her. Luo Qingshan sat beside Chu Nanxian. After giving him the monk fruit tea, she slowly stood up. She saw him tightly knit his brows as he looked at her with a bit of worry. In that moment, he suddenly felt that he was useless. How much he wanted his other strong self to stand by her side and protect her. How much he wanted, don't worry. Her soft hand softly touched his forehead as she narrowed her eyes. Chapter 193. Without saying a word, she picked up a bough from the back of a horse and instantly shot an arrow in Qian Chuyu's direction. Ah! A pitiful scream rang out as an arrow accurately hit her arm. It only pierced her clothes, but didn't hurt her flesh. Qian Chuyu's legs kept trembling, and because she was too frightened, her entire body was stuck to the tree stump. You dare! Qian Chuyu's voice trembled as she wanted to curse, but she never thought that Luo Qingshan wouldn't give her a chance. She continued to pick up the arrow next to her and shot it out with lightning speed, perfectly landing under her other arm. The scene in front of her was a bit like a rabbit being nailed to a wooden stake. In the next second, she picked up another 2 arrows and shot them next to her calves. They still pierced her clothes, but didn't hurt her flesh. Looking at Qian Chuyu's spread character in front of her, Luo Qingshan's lips curled up in satisfaction. Luo Qingshan, for treating this princess like this, I will definitely report you to King Chu. Qian Chuyu bit her lips. Her cheeks were pale due to excessive shock, and her pair of angry eyes fiercely glared at Luo Qingshan. Oh, report me for what? Qian Chuyu picked up the apple in Yin Yin's basket and walked towards her step by step. She firmly placed the apple on her head and slightly blinked as she said, Are you injured? You are not injured, so who can convict me? As soon as her voice fell, she walked in the opposite direction and picked up a bow and arrow, aiming it at the apple on Qian Chuyu's head. No, don't. Qian Chuyu's voice trembled to the point that she couldn't speak. Her eyes were wide open as she kept shaking her head, but she didn't dare to shake too hard, fearing that the apple would fall and Luo Qingshan's arrow would directly pierce her head. Qian Chuyu, I advise you to restrain yourself. Otherwise, a xiao sound was heard as the arrow flew from the bow and accurately pierced the apple. You will end up the same as this apple. She narrowed her cold eyes and looked as if a storm was coming. It was so cold that it seemed to be able to freeze the surrounding air. As soon as her voice fell, she mounted her horse and took Chu Nan Xian's marked arrow. Then she turned to Nian Yin and said, Take care of the master. I'll be back soon. Chu Nanxian knit his brows and walked over to the horse she was riding, softly stroking it. Then, he looked up at her and said, "Be careful. Don't worry, I'm awesome, but I didn't want you to be so powerful. If she was so powerful, he would not be able to protect her. If I'm powerful, then that means my master is powerful." She smiled at him, as if there was only the youth in front of her in her eyes. That clear and flowing gaze seemed to be able to melt the silence in his heart that he had not felt for a long time. The marked arrow, as the name suggested, was an arrow without a spike. This way, it could ensure that it wouldn't hurt too many lovely creatures of nature during the hunt. It could also prevent the sharp arrow from hitting people during the chaotic hunt. Luo Qingqian's brows twitched as she dashed into the dense forest of Pine Mound. It had to be said, the system's skill was truly heaven-defying. The 500 exchange points were worth it. She casually shot an arrow, and it was like a delicacy. The rabbits and deer all charged in the direction of the arrow. In less than an hour, she had already taken the lead in hunting. King Chu couldn't help revealing a look of admiration when he passed by her. He couldn't help praising, "Only you can match Nanxian. Take good care of him for this king in the future." "Definitely." She gave a slight nod. There was a gentle glow on her face, completely different from when she was hunting in the forest. But she didn't know that when she came to Pine Mound Mountain and shot 3 arrows, there was someone's gaze that had been fixed on her. Chapter 194. Master, do you want me to call that girl? The attendant by C saw that his master was focused on the girl not far away and didn't say anything, so he asked this. Jun Yaochen's dark blue eyes narrowed dangerously as he said to himself, "She is the girl who joined the King Chu manor a few days ago." "Yes." Bai Si bowed his head and replied. The matter of the King Chu manor wrongly marrying the bride a few days ago, he had also heard about it. Only he was a bit smarter than King Chu. Whether this matter was a real wrongly marrying or someone else, he would know after secretly investigating it. Only, he wasn't interested before. But that didn't mean he wasn't interested now. At this time, Luo Qingqian was still fighting in the forest. Seeing that her arrows had surpassed Chu Beiye's by a lot, she finally rode off in the direction she had set out from. But she never thought that when she was halfway there, she would see people fighting. WTF? Should she run, or run, or run? Right? Run. She wasn't a hero among women, killing her way out to uphold justice. What kind of thing was this? She definitely wouldn't go. Thinking of this, she waved her horsewhip and wanted to take a detour to the side. But she never thought that there would be archers hiding in the bushes and their target would be a black-clothed person not far away. Die! A rough voice angrily roared out as an arrow flew in Jun Yaochen's direction. Whether it was the direction or the angle, this arrow would definitely hit. In the blink of an eye, Luo Qingqian gritted her teeth. With the mentality that saving a life was better than building a 7-floor pagoda, she quickly took out the arrow on the horse's back. With a shio sound, this arrow accurately hit the enemy's arrow and finally nailed that arrow into a wooden stake not far away. In the next second, Bai Si aimed his arrow at the archer assassin. When he got off his horse to check the bushes, that person had already killed himself by biting his tongue. Master, all the assassins have been taken care of, but there are no survivors. Should we proceed to the next step? Bai Si came forward and wanted to report. However, he found that his master did not care about the wound on his arm at all. He walked step by step toward the woman not far away. Luo Qingqian only felt that the person walking towards her had an extraordinary temperament that was different from ordinary people. His every move carried a unique, domineering aura. Mrs. Archery is truly accurate. I admire it. Jun Yaochen's deep eyes narrowed, revealing a charming color as his lips curled into an evil faint smile. She only felt her breathing stagnate. The aura of the person in front of her was so strong that it made her heart beat faster unconsciously. Ha ha ha! She laughed awkwardly, pursed her lips, and said, "Saving your life is a small matter. No need to thank me. If fate wills it, we'll meet again, if fate wills it." With that, she turned her horse around and was about to leave. After that, Jun Yao Chan suddenly grabbed her reins. She slowly raised her right hand, and blood dripped on her white clothes. It was a ghastly sight. You! Luo Qingchun was slightly stunned. In an instant, he quickly took off the jade pendant at her waist. His lips curled into an evil, charming smile as he said, "We will meet again." Luo Qingchun knit her brows. Watching his back as he left, her eyes were a bit stunned. There was an uneasy feeling that filled her heart, making her feel very oppressed. System, who is he? You didn't tell me anything in your stats panel. Why did this person appear for no reason and not give you any information? Chapter 195. When she came back in front of Chunan Xian, he charged over like he had gone crazy. He directly picked her up in a princess carry and flew off to the horse carriage. Luo Qingchun didn't know why, but she felt a blush creeping onto her face. Could it be that this was the legendary? Not seeing each other for a while was like 3 autumns? Ding! Affection has increased by 5. Mission completion rate is now 40%. It even increased affection? Where are you hurt? What to do? What to do? Chunan Xian softly put her down. His face was incomparably pale as he kept panting, but his eyes were filled with worry for her alone. What should we do? Nian Nian saw the bloodstains on her white clothes, and her tears almost came out. She quickly brought over some hot water and softly helped her roll up her sleeves. Luo Qingchun gave a soft laugh and waved her hand as she said, "Don't be so surprised. This isn't my blood." After that, Chunan Xian's body trembled before he slowly let out a sigh of relief. She saw the deep worry in his eyes, and her heart ached a bit. What kind of emotional man was the person in front of her? Why was it that he wasn't strong, but he could make people want to approach him? Perhaps this was a kind of charisma. Perhaps he was too good-looking. After all, even with his weak appearance, Chunan Xian's face was still that shocking. It was like the most beautiful begonia flowers couldn't compare to him. Chunan Xian softly patted her head. After confirming that she wasn't hurt, he gradually calmed his breathing and said, "You don't run around like this next time." "That's right. Princess Consort Qing, when you left, this master's heart went up and down with you." With the slightest movement, this master's face turned white from fear. Nian Yin saw that Luo Qingchun wasn't hurt, and her mood was very happy, not forgetting to tease her. Luo Qingchun saw the two of them singing the same tune and pretended to bite her finger in an aggrieved manner. All right. There won't be a next time. I promise." Chunan Xian saw her biting her finger and took her hand as he said, "Don't bite, it'll hurt. But I like biting my finger when I'm aggrieved. Then you'll bite me in the future." When Luo Qingchun heard this, her body trembled slightly, and a thin layer of mist appeared in her eyes without warning. She didn't know why, but these words, which were as ordinary as water, moved her even more than those sweet vows of eternal love. Chunan Xian saw the tears in her eyes, and he actually became anxious. His brows slightly knit as he said, Qing, don't cry. It's all my fault. I couldn't go hunting with you and cause you to encounter danger." "Of course not." Luo Qingchun gave a sniff and hugged Chunan Xian, who had a face of self-blame. She whispered in his ear, "Chunan Xian isn't wrong. I won't make you worry in the future, okay?" "All right." His body froze on the spot. There was a faint fragrance on her body. It was like a kind of alluring fragrance. The moment he got close, he felt that it was getting out of hand. AI, seeing Yi and Princess Consort Qing so loving, Nian Yin is so envious. Hearing Nian Yin's voice, she jumped out of his arms in embarrassment. Just now, he was too excited and forgot that there was someone else beside him. Nian Yin is envious. Luo Qingchun cleared her throat and said with a teasing smile in her eyes, "Why don't we just have him marry you to a good man later?" Nian Yin heard this, and her face instantly turned red. She immediately shook her head and said, No. Nian Yin wants to take care of Yi and Princess Consort Qing for a lifetime." Chapter 196. Nian, Master, Nian Yin was clearly embarrassed by her direct words and could only lower her head as she rubbed her red cheeks. After a while, there was a noise outside the horse carriage. It seemed like King Chu was back. Luo Qingshun opened the curtain and saw Chu Beiyi with a travel-worn face, as well as Qian Chuyu whose eyes were about to pop out. What were the results of today's hunt? King Chu's dignified voice rang out, with a strong deterrence. Reporting to King Chu, according to the marked arrows, young Master Nan's arrows should have hit the most wild animals. What? It's that sickly weak. Chu Nanxian wanted to keep talking, but seeing King Chu's displeased expression, he closed his mouth. Your skills aren't as good as others, so you can only use your mouth. King Chu gave a cold snort before leaving without saying anything else. She knew what King Chu meant. Chu Beiye's mind was too small. It was hard for him to take on this heavy responsibility. It seems like this Pine Mound hunt isn't going well for someone. Her cold eyes looked over Chu Beiyi before putting down the curtain. Chu Beiyi narrowed his eyes and watched the horse carriage leave. His hands tightly clenched into fists as he said through gritted teeth, "What do you want?" This king naturally understands. She, Luo Qingshun, was just putting on an act to attract his attention. He understood. Since it was like this, as long as he was a bit gentle to her, she would obediently do things for him like before. But there was a thought-provoking throbbing in his heart, an impulse to possess her. The horse carriage was bumpy on the way, but Luo Qingshun's mood wasn't bad. Although she didn't send the supporting male and female lead to hell, the feeling of fighting back wasn't bad. Princess Consort Qing, do you think King Chu will let young Master hunt more in the future because he hunted the most today? Nian Nian said in a worried voice. Young Master's body can't take this. Silly Nian Nian, how could King Chu not know that although these marked arrows have young Master's name on them, I was the one who hunted them? Luo Qingshun was worried about Nian Nian's confused mind, so she shook her head in pain. Father is just using this as an excuse to suppress him. Chu Nanxian's lips curled into a faint smile. His eyes were still affectionately looking at her, unwilling to look away. Master, you said that I made such a great contribution this time. Do you want to reward me with something? She pursed her lips and looked at him expectantly. Qing Qing, you don't have to tell me what you want. As long as you want it, as long as I have it, I can give it to you. He stroked her head with his snow-white fingertips. I can give it to you. Grandpa, why are you so good to me? Luo Qingshun blinked her eyes, her long eyelashes slightly fanning. She pursed her lips and smiled. Aren't you afraid that I'll lie to you? She really wanted to know how deep this young man's love was. Looking at that pair of gentle and deep eyes, she suddenly regretted asking that question. I'm afraid. He nodded and looked at her seriously. So if you want to lie to me, then lie to me for a long time. This way, you can stay by my side for such a long time. His voice was very soft, but there was an indescribable certainty to it. When that gentle voice entered one's ears, it made one's body turn numb. Not to mention that these words were as gentle as water. It made one's heart tremble, and their heart couldn't help beating like a little deer. God. Nian Yin on the side looked at Chu Nanxian with wide eyes in disbelief. Master is actually speaking such words of love. This is Nian Yin's first time hearing this. Chapter 197. During the rest of the journey, Nian Yin was silent like her lips were sewn shut, not daring to say a single word. When the carriage arrived at the King Chu manor, she obediently lifted the curtain and said, Master, Princess Consort Qing, let's go back. Nian Yin will make some desserts for you. Luo Qingshun gave a thoughtful nod. She deliberately teased Nian Yin. It seems like Nian Yin is still a bit useful. It seems like she doesn't need to get married that quickly. That's right. Nian Yin is very useful. Chu Nanxian's eyes were filled with gentleness. Seeing her being a bit naughty, his lips curled into a faint smile. When they returned to the Heart Palace, a maid at the door gave her a look. Chu Nanxian slightly knit his brows, but he still unwillingly let go of her hand. There was a sense of loss that filled his heart, but this time there was a sense of certainty in this sense of loss. He should believe her, shouldn't he? She didn't put poison in the tea yesterday. Didn't that mean she had changed? Her every action, her every frown, her every smile, her every word, they were all clear and worry-free. She was her, but she wasn't the original her. Luo Qingshun took 2 steps towards the maid, and she softly pulled her aside as she said in a small voice, Yuhi is waiting for Princess Consort Qing in the side hall. After that, her lips curled into a faint smile. She softly walked to Chunan Xian's side and looked at the maid as she said, From now on, I won't see anyone who comes to the youthful palace. She deliberately raised her voice by a few decibels, letting everyone in the Heart Palace hear her clearly. Chunan Xian felt his breathing stop. The person beside him had a sweet smile as she looked at him with a wink. The light of the setting sun shined down on her white face, making her look like she was glowing in that moment. His heart suddenly trembled. In that moment, it was like he was holding her in his embrace, firmly hugging her. The maid delivering the news was clearly shocked when she heard this. She directly kneeled down and begged for mercy. Yes, this servant won't dare next time. Next time? She said with a cold snort. There won't be a next time because that everyone includes you. If this story happened again, she hoped that she wouldn't hide anything from Chunan Xian. She wanted them to be honest with each other, to face each other with their truest hearts. She didn't want that young man who was as clean as water to spend his life in solitude and scheming. In this life, he had her. He would always have her. The maid didn't know what to do. After a few seconds, she knelt on the spot. Luo Qingshun squinted at her and said, Why are you still here? Do you want to die here? This servant will leave now. This servant will leave now. After saying this, she dashed towards the direction of the youthful palace. In fact, Luo Qingshun wouldn't kill her. After all, she was still useful. For example, passing on a message. At the same time, Fanghua Palace. Yuho walked in. Seeing that the atmosphere wasn't quite right, she didn't want to report anything at this moment. She never thought that Chu Beiyi would speak first. How about it? Does that girl Luo Qingshun want to see this prince? Let her come. This king also misses her a bit. Beiyi, you can't treat Chuyu like this. When Qian Chuyu heard this, the anger in her heart surged like a river. They'd been arguing over today's hunt, but now he actually said this in front of her. How could she not be angry?